Hello, and welcome to Back Through the Lens, where two film school friends talk about movies through the haze of nostalgia, the good, the bad, and the ones that aren't quite how we remember them. I'm your host, Rachel, and with me is my co host, Joe. Today's movies are Weird Science and Real Genius.
It's early August in 1985, and we're about to get hit with a double dose of nerd comedies. Currently, National Lampoon's European Vacation is number one at the box office, while Shout by Tears for Fears and Get Into the Groove by Madonna are on top of the charts. If it gets too hot outside, kids and teens might retreat indoors and watch Fraggle Rock, Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Muppet Babies, or perhaps play some D&D. If you were into video games, you might have picked up a little game called Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, or even Back to the Future. In this season, we celebrate films that turned 40 in 2025, the same year we also hit that milestone.
I was going to start talking about twin movies, but then you reminded me of the existence of Duck Hunt.
You're welcome.
I know. I always wanted a regular Nintendo just so I could play Duck Hunt.
So yeah, as Rachel mentioned, we're talking about two movies today. Twin movies, or twin films. This is kind of a weird phenomenon that happens when two studios release the same or similar sounding film within, I think the internet said the world's like within a year from each other. This happens to be a week apart in 1985. And I don't know, we'll discuss both. And I think they have the potential to be twin movies, but I think halfway through both films, they kind of diverge. But I think the overall theme of nerds and comedies and unexpected heroes, I think, make it, for me, twin movies enough.
Yeah, I had the same thought when I was watching both of these that I guess in a very general sense, you could say they're twin movies. Like you said, they both deal with quote unquote nerds and science projects. I don't know how else to say that, but definitely not as similar as something like when Armageddon and Deep Impact were released at the same time. Yeah. Literally the same storyline. But in my research, I found that there was a third similar movie released August 9th. So I think that was maybe a week after Real Genius. I think the order is Weird Science, Real Genius, and then My Science Project. I had never heard of this movie. It literally only came up because when I was researching the background and the box office and whatnot for these two, different articles mentioned that these were like twin movies, but actually it was a series of three.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I looked it up and the director did not seem familiar. Dennis Hopper is in it, but that was the only name I recognized.
Okay.
It bombed at the box office. It grossed a total of $4 million, which is very low. But yeah, I know very little about this, and even all the articles that brought it up were like, you probably forgot about this one for good reason.
Forgot, didn't know it existed. Something like that. If I'm not mistaken, so this is August 9th. If that's lining up with our release date for Weird Science, that's a week later, and I think that Real Genius, came out on a weird date in the middle of the week, like the 7th or something. They were really three movies in 1 week.
As I was saying it, I was like, isn't that just 2 days apart? But then I'm like, surely that's not true because they usually release movies on Fridays. But yeah. We'll find out in a little bit. All right. Well, with that, we will get into our first movie, Weird Science, directed by John Hughes, released August 2nd, 1985. Rated PG, based on the comic Made of the Future by Al Feldstein.
In this movie, two unpopular teens, Gary and Wyatt, decide to create their ideal woman with a computer program. This, of course, is done during an electrical storm, and Lisa is brought to life. Lisa, who also has magic powers, can give the boys cool clothes and nice cars and whatever else she wants. So through their adventures with Lisa, though, the boys learn to stand up against jerks, as well as begin to believe in themselves, eventually winning over the hearts of two young females.
Okay, so I am so confused about whether I have seen either of these movies before. I know I've seen parts of Weird Science. I'm sure it was on cable because I don't think I ever actually sat down and, rented Weird Science. But TNT, TBS, the usual suspects we mentioned.
Yeah, 100%. I saw this on cable a few times. Never really rented. I think I, like you do with cable, somehow always catch the same parts on TV. It wasn't a movie I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm going to wait till 8 p.m. to watch Weird Science. It was like, oh, this is on. Yeah, I got nothing going on.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like for me, this was the forgotten 80s John Hughes movie because when I think of 80s John Hughes, I think of, like we've said, the more popular Brat Pack movies like Breakfast Club. And I realized that Anthony Michael Hall is in this and he is Brat Pack, but still.
Right, yes. Did this episode, I forgot it was John Hughes.
Yes, which is a good segue into our how this came to be because apparently Hughes wrote this in 2 days while he was also working on The Breakfast Club, like filming The Breakfast Club. We've spoken about this in previous episodes that John Hughes just never stopped writing.
No.
It very much Alexander Hamilton. Why do you write like you're running out of time? Both films are set at Shermer High School, which we've also mentioned in past episodes. John Hughes kind of created this town where all of his movies were supposed to take place, or at least all of his characters were from that town. So, same high school as the Breakfast Club. This is based on a comic from 1951 called Maid of the Future by Al Feldstein. I have two instances in my research where I'm going to warn people not to trust AI results because AI insisted that this comic was actually written by a man named William M. Gaines, which further into my research, I found that he was the publisher of this overall science fiction comic book magazine called Weird Science. And it seems like he is a pretty legendary name in terms of comic book history. But if you look at the actual movie credits, Al Feldstein is named as, the author this was adapted from, but AI thinks it's the other guy. But Al Feldstein, it sounds like, was also a pretty prolific editor, a comic book editor as well.
Okay.
But according to Anthony Michael Hall, John Hughes wrote 30 pages in one night for this script. He said he was truly prolific. I mean, to go home and write the first act of another screenplay when you're shooting The Breakfast Club, he was amazing. So, what Anthony Michael Hall made it sound like is that John Hughes, went home one night, started writing Weird Science, showed it to Anthony Michael Hall while they were still filming The Breakfast Club, and was like, I want you to be in this one too. So, we're already overlapping a little bit, but we had mentioned a little bit in our Breakfast Club episode that there was a lot of studio interference, I guess you would say, when John Hughes was trying to edit The Breakfast Club. He said, and this is a quote from John Hughes that we also used in our Breakfast Club episode, I started shooting Weird Science at Universal, and then I would run across the lot while they were mixing Breakfast Club. It was terrible, going between something I really loved and this dopey-ass comedy. I wanted to find more info about this because why is he suddenly speaking so ill of Weird Science? Maybe it just didn't turn out the way he wanted it to.
I was going to ask in this quote, which one is the one he loved and which one's his dopey ass comedy?
Breakfast Club is the one he loved. The dopey ass comedy is Weird Science. Or there was maybe the issue of, I think John Hughes wanted to finish The Breakfast Club completely before starting Weird Science. Apparently, this was a big thing between him and Universal Pictures. The people at Universal finally agreed that he could finish The Breakfast Club after he finished filming Weird Science. So he still was making them both at the same time. And I believe this is when he also felt forced to move his family out to LA because they wouldn't let him edit The Breakfast Club from home, like in the Chicago area. Plus, they were like, if you want to do Weird Science, you gotta do it now.
I'm still confused though because so he wrote Weird Science while shooting Breakfast Club. Cool. Go to bed or don't. I don't know. I don't care. But if he thought I was dopey ass and didn't want to move his family, besides for the editing part,
Mm-hmm.
why direct it?
The only thing I can think of is maybe there was studio interference where it was turning into something that he didn't want, maybe, or they were making changes that he didn't want.
Sure.
I also think at this point, he wasn't a proven box office moneymaker, I believe, because The Breakfast Club was a huge hit, but it hadn't been released yet. And they had no faith in it being a
Yeah.
hit. At least as a
While he's
director,
do
he was not a moneymaker.
right, and while he's doing this, obviously it didn't come out yet because he's running back and forth between editing and directing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if also it was one of those like, all right, we'll let you direct, but you have to give us something like you do two for the price of one or something because this is a new guy. Let's take
Mm-hmm.
advantage of
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was
know.
definitely a new director. And I think I think it was 16 Candles he had already released as a director. And it didn't lose money, but it wasn't a big hit, I guess. But
Okay,
I always get that confused with Pretty in Pink, but I think it was 16 Candles that came out first.
I think you're right, but I get them confused too. So
We've done so much Brat Pack research at this point that I'm like fairly certain about my order of things, but those are two that I still get confused in my head. Like when I picture both movies.
yeah, oddly enough, I'm the opposite. I'm like we've done so much research that now it's all muddled in my head. It's like one giant lump of information.
One giant pack of brats.
Yeah, get these brats out of here.
Oh gosh. Okay. So Anthony Michael Hall was already a protege basically of John Hughes. We talked about in the Breakfast Club episode that they were really close personally. Anthony Michael Hall spent a lot of time at his house growing up. Anthony Michael Hall was supposed to return to the National Lampoon Vacation franchise as Rusty the Son. He was going to do European Vacation, which was the next movie. I believe John Hughes did the script, if I'm remembering correctly. I know he did the script for Vacation. So, this actually started the tradition of all the kids being different for the National Lampoon Vacation movies, all the kids being played by different actors, supposedly, according to Anthony Michael Hall.
Damn you, Anthony Michael Hall. You confused me for years. Like, why are all these kids changing? Am I crazy? Sometimes they're taller than each other or younger than each other, and they
Mm-hmm,
switch,
mm-hmm.
and it was like very bothersome.
And we did talk about this in our episode on Christmas Vacation that
Yeah.
it became sort of a gag that the kids were always played by different actors. Supposedly, it all started so that Anthony Michael Hall could do Weird Science.
Hmm.
The character of Lisa, who is the model or doll, however you want to identify her, that the boys bring to life, she was named after an early Apple computer model. It was literally called the Apple Lisa. I had no idea. I thought Lisa was just kind of an 80s name.
The Apple Lisa? Is that
Yep.
like supposed to be like the Mona Lisa? Are they being clever?
Oh, I didn't even think of it that way.
It kind of flows that way.
I always think of Lisa from Saved by the Bell, and so I
Yes.
assume it was just a popular name for that time period.
Lisa Frank.
That too. A different model named Kelly Emberg was originally cast because the model they wanted for Lisa, Kelly LeBrock, initially turned it down. Kelly LeBrock said, "When I was first offered that role, I turned it down because I was having way too much fun in the south of France with Sting, and I didn't want to go back to the US. So they hired someone else."
That's amazing.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I looked into her career a little bit, and she had just started acting mostly because her husband got into film production. Like he was working as a producer, produced the first movie she acted in. This was only her second movie she was ever in.
Oh wow.
So it's funny because she's like, yeah, I'm going to start this whole new career going from modeling to acting, but I'm not that serious about it because also I could just, frolic in the south of France
With Sting.
with Sting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It was hard not to laugh when you were saying all these names here, different Kellys and Lisas. Like, now I can
Yeah.
only picture the actresses from Saved by the Bell.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, Kelly Kapowski. Demi Moore and Robin Wright also auditioned for Lisa.
Nice.
Very of the time.
Yeah.
Eventually, Kelly Emberg, who was originally cast, either was fired or left the film over creative differences after only 2 days. I could not find anything more about this, but after this went down, According to Kelly LeBrock, they called me and said, "We will give you whatever you want." So the next day, I was on a plane to Chicago. My first scene was the shower scene, and I was forced to wear the previous actress's wardrobe. She was a completely different body type than I was, so a lot of the outfits had to be modified for them to work. Basically, from what I understand, this pushed filming back, well, only about a couple weeks. It was originally set to begin September 24th, 1984. It was delayed to October 2nd, so not a huge delay. They were originally supposed to film in Skokie, Illinois. The studio made them change it to Northbrook, Illinois.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know why. Kind of all looks like the same towns that all these movies are in, so whatever.
Yeah.
It's cool. Filming wrapped December 21st. Could not find a lot about any of this, about anyone's experience, just that John Hughes was grumpy and wanted to be working on the Breakfast Club. And I,
Grumpy Hughes.
yeah, I do, however, have a lot of information about Danny Elfman writing the theme song Weird Science. For those who don't know, he fronted the band Oingo Boingo, which they are described as an American new wave band. I guess this is important because, according to Danny Elfman, Weird Science was by far the poppiest song they ever did and was not like the rest of their music.
Okay.
And if you've noticed a theme in this season of, 80s bands really hating the songs they did for movies, here we go again.
Yeah.
So, to quote Danny Elfman, there were a couple of pieces I wrote that became very popular that I wrote in my car. One of them was Weird Science. I got a call from John Hughes talking about the movie, and wouldn't it be fun? And I literally wrote it in my head while I was talking to him. I got home. I live in LA, so there's a lot of driving. Up into Topanga Canyon, and I probably had a 45-minute drive. And by the time I got home, I pretty much had it in my head. I ran down to my studio and recorded it and sent it out. So this was apparently a very quick job for Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little later about the legacy of this song and his personal feelings about it. But
I'm sure it's great.
yeah, I'm sure it's all great. It's fine. I believe this was before The Simpsons and his long relationship with Tim Burton, right?
I would assume so. 84, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I've heard of Oingo Boingo. I kind of forgot that their frontman was Danny Elfman.
I 100% forgot that, yeah.
Yeah, and when I was reading this, I was like, oh, of course it's Danny Elfman. Like, how did I forget about him having a career before Tim Burton? But yeah, now I just think of him as that guy that's always doing Tim Burton movies.
Yes.
So when we first see our two main guys, Wyatt and Gary, is that his
Gary,
name?
yes.
I wanted
Yeah.
to call him Garrett for a second, and I was like, that's not right. They're watching the girls' gym class, for lack of a better description. There is a poster behind them advertising a future homemakers class.
Oh, nice. Oh, I wonder
Yeah.
if that's what the class they were coming from.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they're just standing there watching the girls work out. Yeah, kind of creepy pervy, I guess, but also very teenage boys like. They're also talking about how like they have no chance with girls because of who they are, I guess. I forget. And then some bullies, ruffians, rapscallions, if you will, come up from behind them and like pants them in front of the girls. So like how embarrassing. And the only thing I can think of right away was, is this going to be a raunchy comedy like Porky's? Since we keep talking about Porky's.
Yeah, Porky's is going to come up later. But yes, if you've listened to anything moving along this season with us, the studios at this point all wanted another Porky's. Everything needed to be like Porky's.
Yeah, even the name. Weird Porky's. What? No, that's not right. um,
I will say, though, especially because I knew I had probably only seen the edited for TV version, I was expecting this to probably be raunchier than it ends up being.
yeah, same.
I mean, number one, I know in my head that everyone wants Porky's. Two, we start with pantsing these guys while they're, ogling these girls in gym class.
Mm-hmm.
It is very funny to me, though, how compared to more modern teen movies how covered up these girls are.
Yes.
They
They
had
actually look like
very
they were in gym class.
oh, right, yeah, exactly. Not wearing like short shorts or whatever. But yeah, I also had the same thought. Is that Robert Downey Jr. as one of the bullies?
Yeah, and you only see like a part of him. I'm like, that's fucking Iron Man. He looks so young because of course he is because it's 1984.
Yeah, I could not get over what a baby face he was. And you're right, it makes sense. It's a
Yeah,
very long time ago, but
yeah.
yes, very baby face Robert Downey Jr. I did not mind the intro for this.
No, I didn't write it down because I don't think it stood out either way, but definitely wasn't bad. There was no shattering quote.
There's a lot of graphics, but I feel like they fit because it's a lot
Yes.
of, I guess, bolts of electricity, for lack of a better way to describe it. And the Weird Science theme song is playing, the one that Danny Elfman wrote. But the theme song fits too.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just them singing the phrase Weird Science.
Yeah, basically that's the song. Yeah.
Yep. I definitely remember the theme song, but this is also the point where I think that I remember the television show that came after the Saturday morning, at least the commercials for the television show, because I knew this theme song.
Mm-hmm.
And I
It's
think that's why.
yeah, it's on the radio or was on the radio.
Mm.
A lot of these songs that have been made famous by the movies we are talking about in the season, you will definitely hear on a retail music station. That's for sure. I get to hear these all over again every day.
That's so funny to me.
It's not funny,
Um,
Rachel.
it's just funny that like these are the songs that I just never would have expected. There was one that you had told me about that I was really surprised. Was it the one from Lady Hawk? There was
No, no,
something that I was like,
there is no single from Lady Hawk. Okay, it's just noises. How dare you
oh,
tarnish that soundtrack? No one sold their soul to get the radio from that movie.
oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I have to like forget Lady Hawk exists so I can move on with this episode.
How dare you?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so pantsless guys.
Intro was fine, not too cheesy. We cut to this really like bizarre scene of I think it's Gary at Wyatt's house using Wyatt's bathroom to shave in.
Yeah. Gary hangs out at Wyatt's house. Wyatt is more his parents, I should say, or have more money. They have a nice, huge house, and Gary's hanging out there all the time. Also, like, talk about names like Lisa and Kelly, so 80s. Wyatt? That name kept bothering me the whole time. Is this
Yeah,
Tombstone? And are we in the 1800s? Come on.
that stuck out to me as well, especially because Wyatt seems to be a trendy name now.
Very freshly babied face looking Anthony Michael Hall is attempting to shave in
Yeah.
Wyatt's parents' bathroom, his adjoining bathroom to his room. I don't know, a smaller bathroom, and he makes a god awful mess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how this happened. I mean, I think that's the joke that A, he doesn't need to shave, and B, he just makes a huge mess everywhere. I don't know. At first,
He
he's like
just
playing around. He's like putting it on his
mhm.
face and having fun with it, and doing like boogers with it or whatever. And then it's just all over.
Yeah, it seemed like it took more effort to actually make that mess than to like just shave and not pay attention to where else it was getting.
Right.
I was just gonna say I also was confused because I thought this was some sort of setup for his character. Like he's a messy guy or something and he's gonna make a mess of things and but we never came back to that ever. Like I just there wasn't a point.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the only point was the line Wyatt gives off screen. Don't make a mess. The maid doesn't come back until Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be a joke. Wyatt says his parents are out of town, so is the maid
Mm-hmm.
his mom? Ha ha. Or maybe this is just kind of showing how much money the Wyatts have. The Wyatts, that's not his last name. How much money Wyatt's family has because they can afford a maid.
So I clocked that maid line too, and I had the same thought because we don't see anything yet indicating that they're wealthy. I understand there is, a certain type of upper middle class house that is always in these types of movies, But that never to me screams wealth because I'm used to seeing this type of kind of large house. As the movie moves along and we see more of their house, I could definitely understand that they have some money. But at this point, no.
Right. This is the first shot of the house we see, really.
Hmm. Although I will say, when I was younger, I automatically thought that was a rich person thing to have a bathroom that connected to your bedroom.
Yes. Yeah, your own private quarters.
Yeah, your own private quarters that you could fill with shaving cream. He also walks over, there are two beds, right? Two twin beds or something.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. When he gets out of the bathroom, he walks over one of the beds with his shoes on. There are so many instances of people being on beds with their shoes on in this movie.
Why?
Yeah, why? I've never done this in my life, and it is so gross to me.
It's just rude, honestly.
Yes. Well, I guess if nothing else, we know that Gary is messy and kind of rude because he's already just making a mess of a house that isn't his.
Right.
They are watching Frankenstein on TV, like a
Mm-hmm.
old school Frankenstein. All I could personally think of is how cheesy this Frankenstein looks after watching the newer Guillermo del Toro version that's on Netflix. Because that's like legit scary Frankenstein. And the ones the
Yeah,
boys are watching is more the old school, like the man yelling, "It's alive! It's alive!"
right. Well, I mean, classic, though.
Classic.
Gives him the idea to, make this woman, obviously.
Hmm.
He gives a line of some sort about, like, a girlfriend in Canada. And it was so, like, thrown away, but because of Breakfast Club, I was like, do all of Anthony Michael Hall's ladies live in Canada? Is this a thing?
Yeah.
I need to watch more of his movies. Is this a running joke?
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it got put in there as a joke since he was working on both of these. Both him and John Hughes were working on these at the same time.
Same time, yeah. Maybe he just crisscrossed scripts and said the wrong line.
There you go. But then Gary also says, when Wyatt questions him and says, "Well, don't you already have a girlfriend?" Gary says, "Well, Canadian girls don't have any morals." And I was like, what?
Yeah, what? Wait a minute, huh?
I did like, there was a little bit where Gary brings up this general idea of making a girl, and Wyatt's like, "I'm not digging up dead body parts."
Yeah. I thought how quickly we went right into this story. We see him at
Mm-hmm.
school. Obviously, they're like
Yeah.
kind of, they stand out in their own realm. They get picked on by the cool guys. They don't have chances with girls, according to them. And then we're making a girl. That's it. We're making a girl. We're done.
Yeah, it
But
is really fast.
I don't know what kind of computer they have. I'm not a big tech guy. I don't know what kind of programs they had in 1984
Right.
to make all of this happen. But
Mm-hmm.
kind of impressed. Again, maybe this is starting to show the money that Wyatt's parents have because it's this huge computer with all these cool programs in his huge bedroom.
So that's a good point. I think that I forgot how weird it was to have a home computer in 1984, 1985, because we're just used to it. But yeah, I don't think my family got a computer in our house until like 1999,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
And it was
Um,
like the house computer. You take turns on it.
oh, yeah. There was the computer room.
Yeah. There was no
Yep.
building models in it, like Lisa, I mean.
Yeah. So, yeah, you meant like models, like a female model, not like
Yeah.
a building. Yeah, that should have been a tip off that these people had money because not only does he have a home computer, it's the kid's computer. It's not in the computer room. Obviously, I did not love all these jokes about the boob size and questioning out loud, should we give her a brain?
Yeah.
And then when they first program her, she has a fifth grade intelligence level, and the description says slow learner and boring dipshit.
Yeah. Luckily, Wyatt kind of didn't like that. And Gary was the one that just wants all looks, no thoughts, I think. And Wyatt's like, no, I want to play
Mm-hmm.
chess with her or something like that.
Yeah, Gary's like not considering the fact that he might not like spending time with this person,
Right.
like as a person.
Yeah.
um,
Well, I guess in Gary's defense, this was like a for fun thing to do. Let's
I
just
mean, right,
create
I
this
know.
ideal person that could exist, and they're 15-year-old boys, and Gary's clearly more hormonal, and Wyatt's more intellect, I guess, as far as what they want in this girl.
Hmm.
But Gary doesn't seem to be taking it seriously because why should he? I guess like they're just goofing around at first.
That's a good point. It's easier to be crass about it when you don't think it's even gonna happen.
Sure.
Because, yeah, I definitely made a note of, but why would you even want to sleep with someone who has the like mental capacity of a fifth grader? Because that's still
Right.
icky.
Yeah, that's very
Um,
icky.
but yes, these graphics are ridiculous because there's the first program and then that somehow breaks, dies. I don't really know. But then there's like the second program, and they're just, it looks like they're zooming through a montage of like old cheesy computer graphics or like
Yeah.
the old school screensavers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess they're hacking into something. It's not like their computer anymore or their program anymore. That's why it's able to actually work. Because we do see some guy, I don't know, watching over some sort of station somewhere and alarms start going off. But if anything in this movie did not hold up, like, it's this. It's these
Yeah.
horrible graphics.
Yeah.
They also talk about giving her, this is when they've changed their approach. They talk about giving her Einstein's brain with David Lee Roth's something.
What did they say what it was? I can't remember now.
I don't. I just remember thinking that this woman supposedly had the brain of Einstein, and I don't really see that come through anyway in her character.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose not, but I never knew the guy. I feel like the David Lee Roth thing was musical taste. I can't remember what that was because there was a lot of things happening very fast.
Yes, and that's the thing too. You can barely catch everything they're saying, but I guess she's like a party animal.
Sure, yeah, that would make
Uh,
sense. Yeah,
The only stuff I really know about David Lee Roth is like the music videos they would play on VH1. So
yes,
like
yes,
this is all I know.
that's fine.
Pop-up video.
Mm-hmm. I learned so much during those days.
I did too. You had mentioned you do like the bras on their heads. That was funny.
Yeah. Then I'm thinking now, where'd they come from? Did they raid? Did they raid Wyatt's mom's closet?
It's like that's okay. I did have a brief thought where I was like, is that like his mom's bras that
Yeah,
they're
that's
wearing?
not
Because
weird at
that's
all. Yeah.
right. But also, whenever I would see this clip on TV, I always thought they looked like pilgrims because like they have the white
Oh God.
because they're white and triangular the way they're wearing them.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't not see it. Yeah. Weird
Oh.
pilgrims.
So the computer program, I guess, starts to work. We don't really know what's going on. It's like a giant storm, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like part of it is because they're hacking into some sort of government thing, obviously, and I think they're trying
Right?
to be like fought off. But then there's an electrical storm
Oh, right.
happening.
Hmm.
Sure, fine, and then we're gonna get that Frankenstein bolt of lightning here eventually. But before that, just shit is flying around the house. I thought of the poltergeist in Carol Ann's bedroom. Like, what is going on here? So it just seems. Are we supposed to think that it's an electrical storm and things are just going crazy because of that? Which doesn't make sense to me. Is there some other weird magic happening at the same time? If so, that's never explained. I don't know. But like things are just going everywhere.
Yes. And they show some really fast clips of things like weird things happening around town. And they flash to this woman in her kitchen and her dog is just on the ceiling. And I
Yeah.
don't know, I laughed so hard because they're both, the dog is upside down, like feet against the ceiling, and they're both looking at each other just like, huh. And like for
Yeah.
some reason that just cracked me up because you're getting all this mess and things flying around, and then just bam, upside down dog. And they're both like, hmm.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to
Um,
mention that it's not just their room. It's like you said,
like the
other
whole
things
town, yeah.
around town. So like that was
Hmm.
confusing to me too. Like, why is this affecting other people who
Yeah.
aren't trying to make ladies?
Because it takes so much energy, I guess.
I
I guess
guess.
I thought of it as like it's taking so much power that it's like when the whole town loses power in Christmas Vacation. That's kind of just where my head was at.
Yeah, I that's kind of what I thought too. But at least one of those situations makes sense.
It's okay. None of it has to make sense. I did notice that there's a screen kind of next to them. I think they have multiple screens, but there's a screen next to the boys, and it's just cycling through photos of bare breasts.
I did not see that. I did not notice.
This movie is rated PG, right? Oh, PG 13. A little better. But yeah, there are a few instances of topless women in this that I wasn't expecting, just purely based on the rating.
Yeah,
Again, like
well,
not trying to be prudish about it. I'm just surprised sometimes what they get away with based on the rating they get.
they've got past me, so there you go.
I don't know if it was necessarily that easy to spot, but I saw the screen moving really fast next to one of the boys' faces, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I realized it was
Uh,
just boobs.
boobs.
Yeah. But aside from that, like I liked this whole sequence. It, like you said, poltergeist vibes, kind of like silly Ghostbusters kind of stuff. Like this is, we'll get into it, but this is more of what I wanted from this movie. Like
Yes.
the silly weird stuff,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's not exactly what we get.
That's what we start with. Yeah.
That's what we start with, yes.
It's funny you mentioned Ghostbusters. I have a note here that after the lightning hits and they get a Barbie doll, and that's going to be their you know what they make into Lisa,
Right.
which kind of now thinking the bras are probably his mom's. Where'd the Barbie doll come from?
Do they have a
Doesn't matter.
sister?
They have a brother. They have Chet.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
get, when I saw the Barbie, I think I just assumed one of them had a sister.
so
I
did
didn't
I, but
even think about it.
I don't think they do.
They might not. Yeah. It's very
Doesn't matter.
possible they don't. Who knows?
Anyway, but speaking of Ghostbusters, when Lisa becomes alive and comes out of the closet, she's just silhouetted by all the white smoke and all that stuff.
Hmm.
It reminded me of Ghostbusters. I think after Dana becomes possessed with
Oh
the.
yeah, when Dana has like the big hair.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I did like this reveal of her character. Like, it was a good reveal.
Yeah.
I like her very 80s workout outfit kind of a thing. It was good. I think this is when we cut really fast to the scene of them in the shower, which is what the actress mentioned. That was her first scene where she she says, what do you little maniacs want to do first? Is that the right line?
I believe that is pretty damn close.
Yeah. And then she is showering. They are also in the shower with her, but clothed,
Yeah.
or at least they have shirts off, but I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and
Kind
that's
of.
like a throwback joke to the very beginning because they were talking about like showering with the girls at gym for some reason. I don't know. They're being pervs.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
And then
Okay.
so they cut to them and they're all showering. And it's funny because it's from the waist up. The boys are farther back so you can see them bare chested.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lisa is, I'm assuming, naked, but we don't see anything, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
But even before the reveal of them wearing swim trunks and their jeans, they're just in the corner, terrified.
They're terrified of her. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
They're
pretty
like,
funny.
I did think that was funny because they were just like, oh, it's a real live woman and we have no idea what to do with this.
Well, there's that. There's this really attractive British
Yeah,
woman
for some
in the
reason,
shower
British.
with
Yeah.
them, and
Hmm.
she's, obviously naked. But then also there's the fact that they just made her.
I mean, yes. Hmm.
I'd be like, wait, this is real, right? Like, this naked lady is what we created somehow. It's like a
Yeah.
double wow moment, I think.
That's fair. Yeah. So Lisa decides that she wants to go out on the town. I did like this cut where the boys go from basically wearing their wet pants and socks and shoes, by the way. They wore their socks and shoes into the shower.
Rude.
Why? I hate all of it.
Who
Um,
likes wet socks? Come on, guys.
right?
Ugh.
So we cut to them in their like very sad looking wet clothes to then having slicked back hair and these nice blazers like ready to go out on the town with her. I did really like her pink dress. It was so 80s and also somehow so Barbie dollish to me. Like she
Yeah.
looks like a doll come to life in this pink dress.
Yeah, I clocked that too. She doesn't look like Barbie, but she does kind of look like Barbie. There's resemblances. You makes you think that hey, she was a doll at one point.
Well, and she is self-aware too, which
Yes.
I guess like I said, I guess I really didn't remember a lot about this, but she says at some point, "You guys created me. I didn't exist before your computer made me."
Right.
She is very aware of like what she is and how this happened. And I wouldn't say she's really completely subservient to them because she does a lot of stuff on her own
Yeah.
and she does a lot of stuff that they are not happy with, but she also still is like, well, I'm just here to do what you want because you made me. She says it
Right.
at least.
Yeah, she says
Doesn't
it a
really
couple
act like that.
times.
I really liked the fake IDs she makes for them.
Yeah, it looked
Because
pretty bad.
Wyatt's ID, it looks like someone took a Sharpie and just drew a mustache on his picture.
Yeah.
Like they're for it being like you said, it's almost like she has magic powers. Some of these things aren't landing as well as they could.
Well, what does she know what a fake ID is supposed to look like? She was just born 25 minutes ago.
Right, that's true. And also she has a Barbie pink car.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. So this brings us to a scene where are they kind of at a jazz club?
I believe so, or something very similar.
Yeah, they end up at a table with a bunch of older men, like adult men, and they're all just drinking. And Wyatt and Gary are obviously uncomfortable. They're trying to go drink for drink with these guys. And I think at one point, one of the older men gives one of them a drink and he says, "What's this, sir?" And the guy says, "Drink it." And he says, "Okay, see you guys in the emergency room." Like
Yeah.
they're just so in over their head. I wanted to point out though, one of these men at the club who's I guess he's wearing a zoot suit, maybe with the hat.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so that is John Kapelos, who played Carl the janitor in The Breakfast Club. So he is back in another John Hughes movie, back in Shermer, Illinois. Again, though, don't listen to AI search results because AI said that he reprises his role as Carl the janitor in Weird Science. I literally went back and like scanned through the movie to see if I had missed this
Yeah.
because they don't have many scenes where they're at school in the first place.
No.
So I was like, was he just maybe sweeping in the background at some point? And he's not. He's not Carl the janitor in this. Maybe in this universe there's still a Carl the janitor.
I was gonna say we don't know if he's Carl the janitor. We don't know what Carl the janitor does when he's not doing janitorial work.
Okay, good point.
He's probably not. But I'm just
I mean,
saying.
I will say he is not credited as Carl the janitor.
There we go. Yep. So I wanted to point out just the Carl the janitor, who's not Carl the janitor, between him and our three people from Wyatt's house. I think there are very few white people in this jazz club.
Hmm.
Most of them are older black men. I only wanted to point that out because, first of all, I think that's part of the reason why these guys are uncomfortable being there. Like, not only are they underage, but this is not a normal spot for these kids to go.
Hmm.
Well, they get drunk because they're doing shots with these older gentlemen who are listening to jazz. And then Gary starts telling a story about, I think, a girl breaking his heart.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right.
But he does, for lack of a better term, he changes how he talks, and he is talking black, quote unquote. And that was just really,
Yeah.
that bothered me. It just, that, I know we're not there yet, but that part definitely didn't hold up.
Yeah, I did not understand. Like, I guess it was supposed to be funny that he's acting like an old black man, but he's also really drunk at this point, so it would
Yeah,
have been just silly for him to be telling drunk stories as a teenager,
yeah,
as if he could relate to these old men about like women
right.
and heartbreak. Yeah. And this
I
lasts like the whole way home.
Yeah, it lasts even at home, and it
Hmm.
keeps going. And I'm thinking maybe at first, well, so at first I'm like, well, this is off putting, and then as it keeps going, like later outside the club, I'm like, maybe he's just drunk and he doesn't know because he's a kid, doesn't know how to talk drunk, as in the actor. I will say that when he's telling the story at the club, I did find the other patrons, their reactions funny. Those actors really did do a good job reacting to this dumb story. That kind of gave it the scene a little bit more of a comic edge where I think Anthony Michael Hall was supposed to, but did not for me.
I mean, it's very possible it's that it fell flat because we're watching it now,
Of course, yes.
you know? But yeah, it was funny seeing these older men with more life experience like going along with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I didn't understand this scene as a whole, but this was also I think my overall issue with this movie. Yeah, it's funny. The fake IDs were funny. Her taking them to this jazz club or bar or whatever that's obviously for an older clientele was funny because they're fish out of water.
Right.
But also, then all they do all night is sit around telling like sad stories while getting drunk. And she said she wanted a party. And I
Yeah.
just feel like I wanted more of the. I guess I was expecting zany 80s sex comedy, which I'm not upset about the lack of Porky's esque jokes, but I wanted to see more of Lisa making funny stuff happen with her powers.
Hmm.
And she's like, yeah, I want to go party. Let's go out in the town. And they just end up in this like quiet, sad bar.
Right.
Like, I wanted more.
Yes.
This woman could do anything. And this is
Yeah.
how we're going to spend our evening. Like, okay.
I expected them to go to like a club
Yes. Like,
with
very, what are the guys from SNL that would
Neither
like go to,
Roxbury.
yeah, Night the Roxbury. That's what I was
Yeah.
expecting.
Yeah. Maybe they'd go to a club and see Oingo Boingo play. Who knows?
That would be a party if
Right?
you,
And then like that's how you work in the song into the movie a second time in the
there you
movie.
go.
Come on, guys.
See, there you go. I love when the songs are used in the movies other than just credits.
Yeah.
So they do eventually get home. Chet is Wyatt's brother. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. So I think Wyatt had made a point earlier to say that his brother Chet was going to be in charge of the house or something for the weekend because
Yeah.
their parents are gone. Okay, first of all, yes, Chet is Bill Paxton to answer your question in your notes.
Right. Like,
Um,
well, it was more of a. I guess it's a question because it's question marks, but it was more of like a, whoa, it's a statement, but like I didn't know this. Like I forgot all about him and Robert Downey Jr. being in this movie.
yeah, I definitely forgot about him being in this movie. And he looks really different to me. And maybe, I mean, his hair is awful. And I
It's
know it's
very '80s
supposed to be
spiky.
awful.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a flat top, but then the sides are combed back.
Yeah.
It's a, and it just, oof. The flat top with the gelled back sides. And it's so much worse when you see him in profile. Like, it's gross. This hair is gross.
It's very military, but kind of '80s styled. It for anyone who plays video games out there, it kind of resembles like Guile from Street Fighter a little bit, just without the height.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So apparently, John Hughes always encouraged a lot of ad libbing, and Bill Paxton has said that that line he says where he offers to make Gary a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray is something that Bill Paxton's father would actually say to him when he was hungover.
Okay. That is weirder knowing that, I guess.
Yep. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. I think it is weirder knowing that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Bill Paxton ad-libbed. Oh, that's pretty funny. He brought this from his childhood. Well,
From his
that's
childhood.
less funny
Yep.
now. Yeah, it's kind of.
Yep. Yeah, so Chet's gross. I don't like Chet. I know we're not supposed to like Chet, but he's like too gross for me. It's too
Yeah.
much.
Especially this scene. I guess the idea is he's picking on Gary because he's obviously drunk, and he's like, oh, "You
Hmm.
better not puke in the house, or you're in trouble." But then now he's trying to get him to vomit,
Yeah,
like
that's
because he
too
thinks
much.
it's funny that he's so drunk. Which I get at some point. Like your younger brother's friend comes home drunk, you're like, "You idiot, you done messed up." But then he's
Yeah.
even like faking getting sick himself to like get Gary to get sick, and this scene goes on for too long, and these close-ups are
Yep.
horrible, and I hate all of it.
Yeah, yeah. The next scene is them waking up the next morning, and I wrote, she was on the bed again.
I wasn't as mad this time because they went to bed drunk, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like they didn't take any clothes off. They just passed out more or less instead of went to sleep. So like, okay, that happens. Shit happens. They partied with Lisa too hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Gary with the shoes in the bed and the clothes. Apparently, Wyatt somehow wakes up slash slept in ladies' panties, and we know this because he crosses around the bed right across camera, and we get like a
Hmm.
face full of 15-year-old crotch, and I wasn't okay with that either.
Yeah, that was awkward.
Yeah,
It was awkward that he was wearing her underwear. It was awkward that we got a close up of it because I'm
yeah,
pretty sure they were both about like 16. I mean, at least Anthony Michael Hall was. I guess I don't know about the actor that played Wyatt,
sure.
but
Um,
no, I it was weird.
and also the idea like Lisa is roughly 23 in this movie as like the character for whatever reason they come up with that. I wrote it
Hmm.
down so I forget where that comes from. It's in quotes too. I think just physically she looks like she's 23, and she kind of is hitting on Wyatt and reminding him that she is theirs. He can do whatever he wants.
Hmm.
And well, this is also very weird. I know you're just a computer program that came to life 12 hours ago at the most,
Yeah.
but still weird. It's very like giving me Clueless vibes here.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz I I feel like she's 23. My assumption is that that was old enough for it to be for it to seem cool but not too old for it to seem too icky, but it is still when you think of them being 15 that feels so young. I
It's
don't
very
know.
icky. Yeah.
Yeah.
I joked and said Clueless, but if she was actually 19, that was like her supposed age in the movie. Okay, that's a little bit better.
A little
You
better.
maybe you're still in high school actually, depending on when your birthday is. Like you can both be she could be a senior, they could
Hmm.
be it doesn't matter. It's just it would feel a little bit better if there was still a teen in
A
her.
teen, yes.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that. Oh, I agree. Except that she also looks so much older than 23, but I feel like that was just the 80s.
Yeah. Yes it was. Everyone looked older in the 80s.
This next bit is them at the mall with Lisa. I really liked this, but I think I also just personally enjoy a mall during the heyday of malls. Like, it's fun. But I thought this was so funny when the guys are at the perfume counter. They're trying out perfumes and they're trying to hype up the fact that they're going to buy this for their girlfriend.
Yeah.
Very much makes it sound like they're sharing the girlfriend, which they are, but I feel like they're not clocking how weird that sounds. But then the girl behind the counter is like, "You guys have a girlfriend?" And it becomes obvious that she goes to school with them, which is also weird.
Yep.
Also, this girl looks a lot older than a high schooler. Again, probably the 80s, but I was so confused when that all started becoming clear.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if she went to school with him or not because she did look older. Either way, I just thought that it was another kind of jab at how those two characters are presented, what everyone thinks about them.
I guess, but could you imagine being someone who works retail and being like, "You two have a girlfriend you're buying perfume for?"
I mean, yeah, I can imagine that.
You Oh gosh. Okay. Okay, maybe I don't know why she was supposed to go to school with them. I don't remember now.
Maybe because it seemed like she was familiar with them, but
It did seem like she was familiar with them.
maybe they go to the mall a lot because that's what you did in the 80s.
That is what you did. That's what I did growing up in the
Right, yeah.
90s. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just went to the mall, hung out.
This is where
Yep.
we re meet the Mean Boys. I don't think we knew their
Mm-hmm.
name yet, so I just have mean dudes in my notes. Yeah, I know it's 80s, but what the hell are they wearing? It's very weird. They're preppy, but not. They're not neat and pressed. They don't have the traditional preppy look of like let's say a Caddyshack where like you got the sweater tied around your neck. RDJ has like shorts on, high socks, and a suit jacket.
It's their outfits are insanely 80s to where they almost look vaguely punk,
Kinda
kind of new wave, more of an
new
edgy 80s
wave.
look.
Yeah.
It's not a preppy 80s for sure,
No.
but I was also confused by this because I think I just assumed from the beginning when they pants the two nerdy guys, I just assumed they were going to be like stereotypical jock bullies,
Right.
maybe more like Emilio Estevez's character in The Breakfast Club. Is that Andy?
Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew, okay. Yeah, I just expected them to maybe look like him. And that is, to be fair, they were just all in gym clothes in that
Right.
beginning scene. But yeah, I was very much like, what on earth are these people wearing? But then I was like, I don't know, man, it was the 80s. Like,
It's
that's
funny
pretty much.
because I kind of picture them more to be dressed as Bender because they're just like these mean boys, and then they're not quite dressed like Claire, but they're closer to Claire than any other character from Breakfast Club as far as like styles go. They're not preppy like proper, but they're nicer clothes, just worn in a way that just doesn't make sense.
Individual nice clothes, but all put together weird.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
got dressed in the closet in the dark.
Was that not what the 80s was?
Yeah, I guess so.
I just wanted to point out that Robert Downey Jr. and the actor who plays the other bully, Rob Rustler, they actually became really good friends while filming this. There's a point where they do a secret handshake. I feel like this is the first time we see it. The
I
secret
think so.
handshake. Either
Yeah.
before or after they dump the slushy on Wyatt and Gary. That was improvised. They just
Hmm.
became such good friends that they were able to come up with their own secret handshake. Rob Rustler, his next role after this was in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. He had the audition while he was making this movie, and Robert Downey Jr. drove him to the audition.
That was nice of him.
I know, it was cute. There were rumors for years that the two of them pulled a lot of pranks on set. There was one particular rumor that Robert Downey Jr. pooped on set, particularly in Kelly LeBrock's trailer, who plays
Oh,
Lisa.
oh no.
Robert Downey Jr. admitted many years later when he was kind of having his resurgence as Iron Man, he was on the Howard Stern show. He confirmed that he did poop on set, but it was someone else's trailer, some other female cast member that he did not name.
Never did I think we'd be talking about pooping in trailers on this podcast.
This is the kind of stuff I found when researching this movie.
So, by prank, did he go in their trailer and use their restroom because he didn't want to stink up his trailer? Or was it they walked in like, oh, a dog let itself in and pooped on the floor? Like, I'm
I
curious here.
took this as like they pooped on the floor.
God damn it.
I also feel like people have different definitions of prank.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wouldn't be okay with this personally, but that's fine. But moving on. So the two bullies dump slushies from the second floor onto Gary and Wyatt. This is when we also have Lisa being spotted by the two bullies, like when they're going opposite directions on the escalator.
Yeah.
What is Lisa wearing in this scene? It's like a tube top or a bra with like a really long coat over it with a big
Yeah.
collar. I mean, 80s. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. And all of it looks like denim.
I feel like it's something that would actually kind of fit in with Clueless, bringing it up again. Not quite
Maybe.
exactly,
The
but
tube top thing.
yeah.
A lot of bare midriffs and Clueless. Question: did your version play Pretty Woman while they were at the mall? Like the song Pretty Woman?
Oh my God. It's like weeks ago. I can't remember.
Well,
I
where
didn't.
did you watch it? How did you watch this movie?
I was gonna watch it on Pluto, I think, which is free, and I'm like, okay, but then right away in the gym they censored a swear word. I'm like, nope, I gotta watch the real thing because I gotta take notes. I don't want to miss anything. So then
Right.
I think I rented it after that.
So I rented it on Prime
I think I
on
did too.
Amazon. So they play Pretty Woman in the mall scene
Okay.
in my version. Apparently, in the earlier version, they play the theme song during this scene, the Weird Science theme song instead of Pretty
I
Woman.
think I got Pretty Woman.
I remember thinking like, "Oh, it's Pretty Woman," but before the movie Pretty Woman came out. So they actually did use the theme song in some other spot.
Depending on where and how
Depending
you
on which
watch it.
version,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I did like this little bit of the bullies kind of falling all over themselves trying to get to Lisa and then realizing Lisa was with the boys or the nerdy boys. Because I feel like that's what you want in a movie like this, right? Like they
Right.
get their time to shine or whatever. Yeah, this worked for me. But like I said, I also like a mall scene because what else are you going to do in the 80s?
This is where she tells them that they're having a party at Wyatt's.
Lisa decides they're having a party because they have to look cool or something.
Yep.
And this is again where I feel like this was just going to be, like I said, zany sex comedy. The boys are going to come up with things to do with her, or like she's going to, you know, do magic, for lack of a better way to explain it, and, you know, make things happen. But she's just, even though she says that she is here in service to them, that they created her, she just kind of decides what they're doing all the time.
Yeah. I feel like, well, first of all, we'll say she's a genie because I feel like she has powers. But I
It
feel
is
like,
kind of genie vibes, though.
yeah. And I feel like that she's somehow, in some weird way, tapped into like subconscious because they want to go out and have fun. They want to be cool and go to parties. So instead, she makes them throw a party and everyone has to come to them. And it's
Hmm.
like an inner desire thing. I don't know.
Well, and I understand her overall idea of they want all these things. They want friends and girlfriends and popularity. And she's thinking in terms of she could create the environment for these things to happen.
Yeah.
If she's thinking really far ahead, she could like leave them better than she found them. But that's not explicitly said anywhere that
No.
she's going to be leaving at some point, that she's here to make their lives better as a whole. She was just supposed to be here to be their girlfriend.
Now we're at Gary's parents' house.
Okay, this killed me that she was like, I'm so excited to meet your parents tonight. In what world were you like taking your fake 23-year-old girlfriend to meet your parents?
Well, I think it was because Wyatt was having a party, unbeknownst to Wyatt, and Gary's like, "Well, I can't go to this party. My parents won't let me." And she's like, "Yeah, they will. I'm going to meet them, and we're gonna do that." So she again was like forcing herself into the situation. This entire scene, I didn't write as many notes as you did. In fact, I just wrote one thing: is outrageous and ridiculous, but also I found it silly. I was laughing at it more than I thought, but it just kept getting weirder and crazier. I was like, okay, well, this has been going on for too long now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like at first it was kind of funny, but then it just got too ridiculous to me and it went on way too long.
Oh yeah,
Well, okay, first of all though, you mentioned that she's like, "No, I'll convince them that you can go to this party. I'm going to meet them and convince them." Why do your parents need to know there's a party at your friend Wyatt's house? Why don't you just say you're sleeping over Wyatt's house?
he
What you
already did that
probably
last
told
night.
them. What exactly? That's probably what you said the night that you made this girl when you were sleeping over Wyatt's house. So all of this was just bizarre. Like bringing the parents into it was bizarre to me, but I did think it was funny when the parents say something like, "Oh, what kind of party?" And she's like, "Oh, you know, chips, dips, chains, whips."
Right.
But it also in that moment, I was like, I would die if I was Gary. Like, what is she doing?
Gary
And then
definitely died a little bit.
she pulls out a gun
Right.
and she's like, I'm taking Gary with me.
So, all right, let's back up a second here.
I can't. Like, this was the dumbest thing.
So the chips, dips, and whips line I thought was funny, and where I
Mhm.
thought it was going to go from there was, oh, it's a joke. I get jokes. Gary's not going to a party with this beautiful 23-year-old. Okay, whatever, Gary, do what you want to do. Ha, ha. Like something like so. She said something so ridiculous that like, oh, okay, that's
Yes.
not happening.
Right, right.
But then she pulls out a gun, and now it's a hostage situation, and she's like yelling at the parents and waving this gun. Then uses her genie magic and makes them forget they have Gary.
She says something to Gary like, "Oh, I'll make them forget all about this. Don't worry." But she takes it too far and the dad doesn't remember he has a son now.
Yeah, throughout the rest of the movie, they keep cutting to the mom with a little frame photo of Gary, like, that's our son. I don't know what you're talking about. Our son Gary. It's kind of sad, but I mean, it's hilarious, but kind of sad.
I did think it was funny though the way his dad for the rest of the movie is like, who's this Gary character?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Oh, yes. The whole thing was a lot. But like again, I wanted fun, wacky stuff, and she's pulling a pistol out in front of his parents. Like, this is not what I wanted out of this. It was too bizarre.
Well, we find out on the car ride from Gary's to Wyatt's that it was a squirt gun because she squirts Gary with it. There was no orange cap on the front of this, ma'am. You could have gotten shot for that.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the squirt gun becomes important later on, so I just wanted to
Yes,
bring that up.
yes. We're at the party, and she, like, apparently possesses the whole town to come.
Yeah, they open the door, and there's just a bunch of people outside.
Yep.
I noted that there was a dude on the left that has the creepiest grin, and I can't picture it now, but I guess when the doors open, there's just a dude, like, smiling with anticipation, but he should not have been in the front of the pack because he was distracting to me. It's like everyone else was happy to be at a party. This guy was an extra in Smile 3 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I went back to that scene after I saw your note, and it was definitely serial killer vibes.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. This guy's like, yeah. I'm like, no.
Yeah. But no, she opens the door, and it's like just a crowd in the lawn waiting to be let in. And I do kind of like those scenes in teen movies where someone's going to throw a party and they're like, surely it won't be that big of a deal. And then everyone gets like bum rushed, like coming in. This was sort of a version of that, I guess, but it made it look like they were all possessed because they weren't just all like running in.
Yeah, it does seem like they were maybe under some sort of control.
Yeah.
Like how Gary's parents no longer remember Gary. There was
So-
a. It's Gary! When they're rushing in and whatnot, I did like the cut. There's like a whole like huge table, and of course this is Wyatt's house. Everything's big and extravagant. There's this huge dining room table that's got a bunch of awesome looking food on it, and everyone like rushes in and rushes past the table. And then when the cut comes back, everything's gone. Like all the food has been eaten. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty fun.
That was funny.
And during all of this, the dude's just hanging out in the bathroom like forever. And people are trying to knock on the door, and like, oh, he's taking a shit. And like, what? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I mean, that was kind of funny. But again, went on too long.
Yeah, like it was funny at first, but then it was like, oh, so you're literally never going to use the bathroom or leave the bathroom. You're literally scared of people. And again, I don't know. I felt like they were going to have some sort of bravado or something because they had this beautiful lady hosting this party for them. Like, again, I know the party wasn't their idea, but I don't know. I feel like they created this woman who just sort of took over their lives and it was not fun at all.
Yeah, not for them at least. I feel like
For
she's
them,
having
at
fun.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out there's a King Crimson poster in their bathroom.
Oh, I don't think I saw that. That's
First
awesome.
of all, like, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Apparently, these other girls come into the bathroom and they all hang out in there for quite some time also. This bathroom is very huge. It's probably the size of my house. And eventually the girls want privacy to like touch up or whatever. And so now the boys are in the shower together in the bathroom.
That killed me because when they ask for privacy, I would assume one of them actually has to go to the bathroom, okay?
Sure.
But either way, they asked for privacy. So instead of leaving the room, they just go in the shower and shut the shower door.
Yeah. I know. I don't know.
I just feel like this is how like my kid would react around large groups when he was 3. Like it was at this point it was too ridiculous.
It
Like
was
I
too
don't
much.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that. Well, A, they have a bar in their house because of course they do. But one of the elderly gentlemen from the blues bar was bartending.
I did think that was funny. Okay. Did we mention that the girls in the bathroom are the girlfriends of the two bullies?
Ah, we did not.
Okay. So that's important. I do like when the bullies show up, they see Lisa at the party and one of them says, "You deal with the drinks, I'll kill the girls."
Yeah.
Cuz they want to ditch their girlfriends for Lisa.
So for some reason, we now cut away from the party and we are at a restaurant.
Mhm.
And these two nicely dressed elderly people are talking to each other. We don't know why. We're just now we're at the table with them. We did mention. Eventually, we learn that these are Wyatt's grandparents somehow. I think they mentioned like, oh, we should check up on Wyatt because parents are gone for the weekend. So we're just assuming these are his grandparents.
Yeah, I think that's how it gets brought up. They're talking about how the parents are gone for the weekend.
Yeah,
Also, they're British, aren't
they
they?
are like Star Wars British. Yes,
Okay.
they have like that kind of fake British accent.
Oh,
But
well,
for,
Lisa's British, so it's like, I don't know, whatever.
yeah, but Lisa was made in like a computer program. Who knows why she's British? It that's fine for me. Her grandparents being pseudo. I think it's they're supposed to be like rich
Like
people talk.
posh. Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah. Okay.
but it came across as like British, but not good British.
They needed to sound proper and rich, so British accent.
Yep. And they mentioned like stopping in to check up on him. I think the grandma's like that, and grandpa's like, doesn't he have anything to read? In his, fake British accent. And then the grandma says there's nothing more important to teenage boys than his grandparents. And then they agree to go check up on them. And
It
then we
was
cut
weird.
back to the party.
All I could think too is like, okay, to be fair, I didn't have like rich British grandparents, but all I could think is at this age, my grandparents would be like, "Come over, I want to see you." They would never just drop by my house. They'd be like, "No, you come to me so I
Right.
don't have to leave the house."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You earn that with age.
You point out when we cut back to the party, we're sort of at this weird dialogue where the bullies are trying to get Gary and Wyatt to like give them Lisa,
Yeah.
which like obviously there's like really icky like subtext here, but go with it.
Yeah.
There's a line that you point out one of the guys, it's like obvious his voice changes.
Uh huh.
Like it's an obvious dub. I took this as maybe they just had bad audio and they had to dub it, but it
Maybe.
is a very poor match.
Yeah. I took it as they said something. Maybe they ad libbed. This is the other Rob, not Downey. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why wouldn't you just cut to the boys then and then do the lines so we don't see this guy's mouth not man? It was like watching a Godzilla movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did
Well,
not
and
match
also
up at all.
the tone of the voice is different too.
Well, right,
Um
which also should be a cutaway, and
yeah.
like his mouth was doing way different things.
Yeah. Also, I pointed out in my notes that the girls are Deb and Hilly. So at least you know their names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because they'll let them have Deb and Hilly. That was the bargaining. You can have them, our girlfriends.
Yeah, the only funny thing about this is that Deb and Hilly are already like kind of thinking Gary and Wyatt are maybe a little cute because they already ran into them in the bathroom.
Hmm.
And for some reason, that whole exchange was not off putting to them.
Right. Well, also they both seem, as in the girls, Deb and Hilly, both seem to think Lisa is cool, and that coolness that she's
Hmm.
hanging out with these two guys makes them attracted to those guys. So like maybe
Hmm.
Lisa has a plan. We're not sure yet, but they are going around the house talking about how cool Lisa is. And then
Yeah.
they also mentioned that, oh, what about those guys in the bathroom? They seem kind of nice. It was a
Hmm.
weird, you're cool by association type thing.
That's true. There's also a little bit at the mall where we see that they are thinking the two bullies are immature
Yeah.
and maybe they're kind of done with them anyway.
Yes. Yes.
But I think they decide maybe it's better to just stay with them instead of being single. I can't remember exactly what
I
happens.
I
Or the
think
guys
they.
just sweet talk them. I can't remember.
That's what happens. I think that's when they do their
Okay.
handshake too.
Jesus. Okay.
Uh,
They're so lame. Um
They have cool shorts and suit jackets.
that they wear together.
So
It
after this weird proposition, almost like kind of group of pimps talking to each other, which I didn't like, the end result is, you know what? We'll just make you a girl. And I'm like,
mhm.
okay, that makes sense. Like, Lisa's like our friend. I think they like change their tone a little bit with Lisa, how they look at her as they start talking to the other age appropriate girls. And like,
Mhm.
well, we'll just make you one. And so they try to do a whole another Lisa, Lisa
Yeah.
2, if you will, and things go weird again.
Most importantly, well, first of all, it is really funny now seeing four of them sitting around wearing the bras on their heads. I liked
Yeah,
that. It's also, I don't know, I got like summer camp vibes from this where they're all like banding together to do some stupid project. I don't know.
sure.
But it's also funny that Lisa is so self aware because she pops in at some point and she was like, "You forgot to put the doll in." Like, she knows the
Yeah.
process more than they do.
But that was after the whole thing happened. Like they're doing the computer programming, the weird stuff is happening. Now there's like kids are getting sucked into a TV. There's like
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
yeah, one of the kids is in the TV, one of the girls is in another room all by herself for some reason, rolling around like very much like the mom in Poltergeist.
Yes.
And then we cut back to like the boys, they're freaking out. In in all caps I have, this is from Robert Downey Jr.'s character, I'm shitting in my pants, which I thought was hilarious. Um,
Yeah, especially because it's just such a Robert Downey Jr. delivery.
yes,
And this is like maybe the first instance of such a thing because he's so
yes.
young.
And
It's,
then
yeah,
apparently,
that.
like little bit by little bit, things are getting sucked into the chimney and like just thrown across the universe. Like it was, I don't know. Again,
Yep,
weird stuff is
yep,
happening. Then there was no Lisa too. That's when our Lisa pops in and says, "You got."
yes.
She basically like kind of berates them for having hubris, and she was just trying to show off, or they were trying to show off, and
Yeah.
in all of that, they forgot the most important thing was the vessel, the doll.
Hmm.
So she basically is, "You guys have me. You don't need another me. You're just trying to show off to your friends, and you done fucked up." So she's kind of mad at them right
Um,
now.
she is, yes. Backing up just a tiny bit, the everything getting sucked up the chimney.
Yeah.
There's a girl playing the piano for some reason at this party.
Oh God.
And as everything slowly gets sucked out of the room, she realizes what's going to happen. She's like holding on for dear life. I think the piano gets sucked up at some point. She's
It
like holding on
does.
to the windowsill. Okay.
Yep. 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 Yep.
As she is holding on to the windowsill, trying not to get sucked up the chimney, I was like, this girl is going to lose her clothes. Like, that's what's going to happen because, porkies.
Yeah.
So that is, in fact, what happened.
Yep.
This girl is played by an actual Playboy centerfold named Kim Mylan. She does, in fact, go up the chimney topless in just her underpants. And so we have another instance of bare breasts in the PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
But she did her own stunts. And I just wanted to point that out because she's on, we don't see it, but she's on some sort of scaffolding when she's holding on to the windowsill. She got like pulled up the chimney by some sort of contraption. But then after everything goes through the chimney, you see it like spitting out of the chimney, falling into a pool or a yard down
Uh,
below.
yeah.
She really did get tossed from the top of that chimney into the pool below. She did that herself.
Hell yeah, Kim.
Yeah, so good for her. When all this chaos is going on, we cut back to at first the guys sitting like calmly with the bras on their heads, just like waiting.
Yeah. And because they forgot to put a doll down, now a rocket is growing through their house.
Yeah, so whatever things that would have been hooked up to either side of the doll, they're just laying on the cover of they're just laying on a magazine.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yes.
the magazine cover is about something with space and there's a rocket on the magazine cover, so that's what gets brought to life
That's
instead of the
right.
doll.
Yeah.
So yeah, this rocket just goes straight through the house, like starting from the bottom, goes all the way through the roof. So, this was a very difficult scene to set up, and there was very little room for error, as you could imagine, because they're like destroying the set, right?
Well,
So,
yeah.
once you do this, you can't necessarily go back. um,
Yeah.
Anthony Michael Hall ended up farting during this take, causing all the crew to start laughing, and it ruined the initial take of the rocket
Oh
going
my,
through the room. So they ended up having to film all this in reverse and fix it in post.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like how all the notes I find on this movie are just apropos to the time, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, guess what? The grandparents show up. Forgot about them, right?
Right.
Yeah. I again note that why do they have accents? And I also note, which I've been thinking about this entire movie, I hate Wyatt's voice. I hate it. Fucking hate it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's like someone else trying to talk through this person and it's strained and weird, especially when he screams.
Yeah, when he's yelling at Gary, his voice is so strained.
I was gonna say it doesn't sound like Squidward, but it kind of does. Like a raspy Squidward. Mostly like the yelling at Gary time.
Yeah, every time he was yelling at Gary, it was almost like he was losing his voice,
Yeah.
but not quite. And it just sounded really grating. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Ugh. So yeah, the grandparents show up because they have to. We were told that they were, and they are yelling at Lisa because there's a huge party at their daughter's house. Yada yada yada. She like freezes them or something, like petrifies them. I don't know,
Yeah.
but they are definitely frozen.
Yes.
And
And not even like they're icy frozen, just
no,
like
they're just
they're
freeze
just
frame.
stuck. Yes.
Yeah, and kudos to those actors because they are definitely holding the position, and then they get stuffed in like a closet in the kitchen or pantry or whatever, and every now and then we open the door to check on them, and they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about creepy smile, grandma over here.
Oh, yeah. Because she gets frozen with her mouth in a smile, but in a wide one, like where her teeth are open. And
Yeah,
I was thinking that too, that must have been such a hard pose to stay in,
yeah,
to stay frozen in when they would open the door and check on them. I thought some of their lines were funny though, because when they first walk in, the grandpa says, "Something's going on here, Carmen." And then she says, "I have a feeling we're not going to approve, Henry."
yeah,
And like everything's already a mess. And then at some point, the grandpa says he won't stand for certain things, and the grandma confirms that grandpa definitely doesn't stand for baloney.
These are very good grandparents' lines.
Yes. Okay, so then, in order to encourage, I guess, some sort of self realization in Gary and Wyatt, Lisa decides to bring a mutant biker gang into the mix.
Yeah, they crash the party. They're just a
Uh,
bunch of guys on motorcycles driving the motorcycles to the house.
there are a bunch of guys from Mad Max, apparently.
Were they, or are you just making a joke? Because I honestly
Uh,
can't tell. Not that you're not
no.
funny. It's just like I don't know if these people were supposed to be from Mad Max. The one guy was from The Hills Have Eyes.
Okay. Okay, first of all, I love how you clarified that. Don't worry, you're still funny.
Yeah, I just
Um,
didn't know if that was a fact or not. Also,
okay, so I know who you're talking about from The Hills Have Eyes, the bald guy. Yeah,
yeah.
that kind of, he looks like if Sloth from Goonies was a real person, kind of. Shut up.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, the ringleader of this group, played by an actor named Vernon Wells, he basically plays the same role in Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior. Same
Uh,
outfit, same costume, same hairdo, makeup, the whole thing. But he is not credited as that character. So people aren't sure what to think, but they're pretty sure it's supposed to be some homage to that character. And then earlier in the film, someone tells Lisa that people call Max Mad Max. Is that the bullies?
Ian and Max, right? I think that's their
Yeah, is that the
names.
bullies' names? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's when they're flirting with her by the car, and I think other Rob says that they call Max, as in Downey Jr., that Rob, Mad
hmm
Max.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so Vernon Wells, this actor, like I said, he plays the ringleader of this biker gang. it was the first time he had been to America. He's an Australian actor. This role immediately led to him being cast in Commando, which was one of our possibilities for our audience pick
Damn,
this season.
could have had another connection.
We could have, but also like I would have never experienced Lady Hawk. So
No, Lady Hawk was the right choice.
Lady Hawk was the right choice.
Let me go back and listen to that episode.
This whole like I just was checked out at this point personally. The
Yeah,
biker gang, okay, first of all, it's not just a biker gang, it's like mutant biker gang, which again, from I don't think I've ever seen the second Mad Max, but from what I know of it, that makes sense. But
yeah,
I guess this is where I was like, okay, so Lisa is almost like bullying them into being maybe better people. Maybe we can argue that. But I was just like, I thought this would be more fun, and she's just ruining their lives, basically.
yeah.
And I just didn't think the biker gang was fun in any, like, I don't know. They have the possibility to do so much more fun, goofy stuff with this movie, I feel, and they just didn't.
Yeah, I checked out about this point as well. Like, I can't. What is going on here? This isn't funny or fun. The boys hide in
Mm-hmm.
a closet. That's how they get rid of their problems. Just hiding. Like, oh, we're better off in here.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, their grandparents are frozen in time. I don't know. Like, the whole idea, I guess, is to like get them to stand up. So at one point, the ringleader, does he have a gun? Does he have a? He has a weapon of some sort, and he
I don't
has what
know if they have guns. They have weapons.
I think one of them has a shotgun, but I don't know.
I don't remember
Either
even.
way, they take one of the girls hostage with a weapon drawn on her, and it's like, well, we're gonna take them with us. Ha 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 ha
Mm-hmm.
ha. Some other girls at the party are asking the boys to like, come on, stand up for them, whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's their job now. And I just wanted to note, yeah, the '80s language, not great sometimes. A few parts in this movie, some of the characters, whether they're mad or cool, I can't tell which one, they decide to call females bitch. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look here, bitch. And I'm like, okay, this is you're 15 years old, and none of this is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, and then twice in this movie they use the slang, the F word,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, God, this is so jarring. Like, why are they doing this?
Yeah, and I guess maybe notable that it's both John Hughes scripts
Yeah.
where we've noticed it this season. I noticed that there are a couple times where the word dick is used like meant to mean someone who's lame. Because
Okay.
the biker gang at some point, one of the guys says, how come two unpopular dicks like you are having a party?
Yeah.
And to me, I use dick if someone's being like an ass. And I feel like both times it's used in this movie, like I would not think of Gary and Wyatt as being dicks.
You're thinking of it where people would often use the word prick or asshole,
I guess,
which I
yeah.
think modern language, yeah, when you're don't be a dick is like you're
Mm-hmm.
being mean or rude. That might be just lost in translation and slang because I feel like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they've had a few times in this movie they do mean it as like lame, but that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the context of how they're using the word.
Yeah. Although, adding to the weirdness of this whole thing, I guess, when the whichever biker gang member it is says this, there are a bunch of people at the party who laugh at it, like kids that are still left at the party. Number one, they're all being held hostage. Like, why are they laughing at the jokes that this bad guy is making? Number two, how is there even anyone left at this party? Because I thought everyone got sucked up through the chimney or whatever. And then also, when the biker gang bursts in through like the windows, everyone's running away. I didn't even realize there was anyone left in this house besides our main characters.
Right. Yeah. It just goes to
Um
show how big the party was.
I guess, and how lame they all think Gary and Wyatt are if they're gonna be like, yeah, scary biker gang, you tell them. But then eventually Gary thinks to threaten them with the gun that we all think is the squirt gun.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He stands up for everybody. He points a gun, which is confusing too because like you're hiding behind a weapon now, but that's a whole nother conversation. But gets the gang to leave and give back the girls. This was also another very long, drawn out scene. I will say, though, admittedly, at the end when they're leaving, I did laugh at a couple of lines. I believe that one of the mutants is like a cyborg because he's like all painted in gray and has like things covering
Yeah.
his eyes and whatnot. So he's like a cyborg, and he says that he's really sorry and that they should call and do lunch sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure, sure, Mr. Cyborg. And then the bald one from Hills Have Eyes, he's like, "Don't tell me because I don't want anyone to know, as I'll lose my teaching job or my teaching license
Yeah,
or something
he
like that."
says like I don't want to lose my teaching license as if this is just his side gig, threatening people in his biker gang.
Right. So
Oh.
both those lines got a good chuckle out of me.
Yep. Yep. And then once they leave, we find out that the gun was real because Gary accidentally fires it.
Yeah. Thank God, not
Yep.
when he's waving it around at everybody.
I know. Yeah, I in my notes I was like, "Oh my god, why is he waving this gun around?" So after all this, the guys each hook up with one of the age appropriate girls. They sleep over. Chet comes back and everything is still a wreck. And I wrote, why isn't everything put back together after they made Lisa? Because like when they made Lisa, the next day they woke up and they were like, that's crazy. And everything's like perfectly clean and organized.
Yeah.
And then they realize she's actually there.
I think because Wyatt has to stick up for himself against Chet. I think maybe that's the final thing.
So that's fair. I guess it's not, I could see that. It's not explicitly said, but I just felt like Lisa did them dirty, like
Yeah.
having Chet come back to be like, what the hell is all this?
Yeah.
Rightfully
Which
so,
which I
honestly.
guess if that's the way they're going, it makes sense that she did him dirty. So Chet's mad.
Hmm.
So Wyatt can stick up for himself.
Yeah.
I
So
guess.
at this point, the guys just leave to take the girls home
Yeah, in their fancy cars.
in their fancy cars. Oh, that's right. Lisa gave them fancy cars. Wyatt drops Hilly off at her house and tells her he loves her.
Uh huh.
Was fast.
Love is fast
I don't know,
in
man.
the 80s.
I did think it was really funny when Gary is driving his new girlfriend home and he drives past his parents and they're like, oh my God, or the mom, oh my God, that's Gary. And the dad's, who is this Gary character?
Yeah.
Jesus. So this is when Chet and Lisa get into some sort of confrontation and she turns him into poop.
No, I don't think he's poop. I think he's some sort of like weird creature because he has arms and he's like he looks like a if a kid drew a bullfrog and then the bullfrog came to life and then melted. I don't know how else to describe this.
I
Like
mean, that's fair.
he's a mound of a creature.
He's a creature who is poop esque. So this mound was a puppet and it was supposed to be operated by Bill Paxton while inside it. He was too claustrophobic
Okay.
in apparently this too small mound puppet. So supposedly they got two people of very small stature in there to operate it in tandem while he did the voice.
You know, maybe someone should tell him that a grown man bent in half played TikTok and he'd feel a little bit better about himself and get in there and
I
deal with
thought
it.
of I thought of TikTok, yes. Also the puppet designer was having trouble getting this to accurately resemble Chet because they still wanted you to be able to tell it was Chet that got turned into this. They wanted to somehow still kind of look like him. They were just stumped on this until they thought to give the mound the same haircut,
Which I thought was great.
which is that does it. Yeah,
Yeah, it does it.
it was great. But I guess he's allowed to be turned back to normal because he promises to be nicer to Wyatt.
I think that is the deal, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I do like when the parents come home and everything has to hurry up and get back into place.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. I liked when they opened
Hmm.
the door and the very last thing was like a, you know, little hallway stand or whatever, like slides into place as they're coming through the door. That was clever.
Yeah. Very much Beauty and the Beast vibes for me, at least.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. But this is something I would have liked to have seen more of. Like, this was one of the most enjoyable parts of the movie for me because I was like, see, I just want to see like fun stuff happen because she can do anything. Like this, even when the rocket was going through the house, like I just want to see fun stuff happen. I don't know.
I'm glad you clarified because I was hoping it wasn't the poop monster Chet. Was it, like that wasn't your
No,
favorite
I don't
part?
need that. I
No,
don't
no,
need
no.
no. But I don't know. I wanted more of the fantastical stuff.
Yeah. I want to point out because it bothered me when the parents come home and like, oh, we missed you. It's been a long weekend and blah blah blah. And he hugs his mom and he goes to hug his dad. And his dad's like, no, no hugs. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
He's a man. He doesn't hug his children.
I guess
And Lisa eventually like goes home, so to speak. I don't know.
she's like, yeah, you don't need me. You have these girls now. I was never your girlfriend. I'm just a genie.
Hmm.
Bye.
Yeah, I was just like here to help you find yourselves. Bye.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yep. So that's weird science.
I have under other notes. Am I crazy? But does this not feel like a John Hughes movie? Because it doesn't to me.
Yeah, it doesn't really to me. I don't know. It was just. I mean, I guess I understand him complaining that it was a dopey ass comedy. Like, sorry to say.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not. It was a dope ass comedy.
Well, all right. So they had a budget of 7.5 million. It grossed 38.9 million.
I mean, at
So
this point, though, you might be riding on the Hughes name because Breakfast Club has already come out and was a
at
huge
this,
hit.
yes. Hmm. Surprising to me, critics seemed mostly positive, especially about Lisa. They thought Kelly LeBrock was just really fun and charming. And honestly, for a model who like just decided to get into acting, I thought she was perfectly fine.
Yeah, I thought so too.
A lot of them admitted that it didn't hold up to John Hughes' previous films, which is something we just said,
Yeah,
but also that they were surprised at how enjoyable they found it.
I'm surprised by that as well.
I forgot to mention this too. I was surprised at how charming I found Andrew Michael Hall in this movie. I know they're supposed to be like these dorks that have no social life, but I think it was he just had so much more to do in this movie versus The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
Whereas his character in The Breakfast Club was a dork in a different way, I feel. He didn't even talk that much.
I can see him being charming by like after like the first 15 minutes. Because at first I was like, I
That's
don't
fair,
like
yeah.
this kid. Yeah,
Yeah, and maybe that's not even the right word. I think I just enjoyed him playing such a different character, even though it's funny because they're both supposed to be like social outcasts.
right.
So back to our theme song of Weird Science.
Yeah.
Okay, so Weird Science ended up being Oingo Boingo's only radio hit. This is what Danny Elfman had to say. I can't say it made a huge difference for Oingo Boingo because, on the other hand, it was the only kind of pop tune like it that we did. And I found myself quickly on stage not wanting to perform it. So it was a dilemma after the first year or so. Because it was like, oh, that was fun, but now I don't want to do it. It just didn't feel like it was really a part of our repertoire. It felt too poppy to me.
Huh.
Where have we heard that before?
Uh,
It's your biggest hit, and they don't want to play it.
yeah. Another John Hughes movie, maybe?
It was, wasn't it?
It
At
was,
least,
yeah.
at least Danny Elfman wrote this one himself. Doesn't have anyone else to blame there.
That's true.
He also had a lot of bad things to say about the music video, which I will read his quote in a second. But I went and watched the music video because he was so like down about it. It looks like a pretty 80s music video. I'm not really sure what the big problem is here, to be honest.
I had meant to watch it before we recorded, and I remembered I didn't watch St. Elmo's Fire, which I finally did. I have more homework to do now. I have more music
Yeah.
videos to catch up on.
I will say Danny Elfman's hair is orange
Oh,
in
yeah.
music video.
That's
Okay.
his hair. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, it's just him like singing on a set that looks like a crazy science lab. I don't really know what else. I mean, it looks pretty 80s. I don't think it's anything that looks bad outside of it just looking like cheesy 80s.
Okay.
I personally think the St. Elmo's Fire one was worse because they were trying to be so sincere about it.
Yeah. That was not great.
Yep. There was a little bit at the end of the Weird Science music video where I think they bring a girl to life and then they sort of step out of this lab into like the real world, I think is what we're supposed to think. And Danny Elfman sees a boy playing on the sidewalk, and then when he looks back at the girl that he's holding hands with, she's a doll. So that was like a obviously a reference to like the movie, but
Okay.
it's literally like the last couple seconds of the music video. The song is over at that point.
Oh.
They just have a little like end credit thing.
Yeah.
Kinda,
It's telling the story here, I guess.
I guess. So here is what Danny Elfman had to say. I think the video was what really soured me. I hated the video. It was the only video I did that I didn't have anything to do with. I was at that point getting busy with other stuff, and I had agreed to show up on a set and, lip sync the song. Everything else I did, I was a part of creating it, or I would even co direct it. But here I just didn't, and I was horrified. Years later, when it appeared on Beavis and Butthead, I just figured like justice was served. Like they deserved that. That was kind of the nail in the coffin for me. Like they were right. And I never want to play this song again. But what can I say? I asked for it. The video was pretty in your face, pop awful.
Okay, Danny. Calm down there, bud.
Right. Kelly LeBrock, who played Lisa, she took a break from acting after this, but her career lost momentum and never really recovered. For what it's worth, she's doing fine for herself. She has like land in California with like horses and animals. Do you know that she went on to marry Steven Seagal?
What? No,
They
no.
have 3 children together.
That science is weird there, yeah.
Yep, apparently at the time they got divorced, it was like one of the biggest celebrity stories out there.
Who knew?
Who knew, right?
Not I.
So she did eventually, divorce the husband that she began her acting career with, where they both decided to like make a movie together. Married Steven Seagal, had 3 kids with him. Now just seems to be very much just like enjoying her life in California.
Okay.
I looked her up on Instagram, and her Instagram bio is the quote from when Lisa first appears. Like, what do you little maniacs want to do first? Whatever that quote is. Ilan Mitchell Smith, who plays Wyatt, he stopped acting in the early 90s, so not too long after this. Still couldn't find anything about like why John Hughes picked him for this role or anything like that, but he now has a career as a professor of medieval studies. He has a PhD in medieval English literature from Texas A&M. Area of focus seems to be medieval society and popular culture, as well as chivalry in the late Middle Ages. And I did, in fact, find him on the faculty page of California State University, Long Beach.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, he's in the English department. Could you imagine, like, just, I don't know, showing up for whatever English course you're going to take and being like, oh, yeah, my professor, he was in Weird Science.
I cannot.
However, in 2017, he guest starred in an episode of The Goldbergs playing a science teacher. The episode was called Weird Science.
Ah,
And in the episode, I believe Barry Goldberg is one of the sons in the family. He tries to make a girlfriend like they do in the movie.
keeping it alive. I get it. I like it.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah. I do your 80s references.
Yeah. So for the 40th anniversary of Weird Science, which was 2025, the actress Judy Aronson, who played Hilly, she made a joint Instagram post with Anthony Michael Hall, and this is what they wrote. 40 years of Weird Science. I can't believe it's been 40 years since I was part of this iconic film. Watching Weird Science continue to inspire, entertain, and bring laughs across generations has been a blast. I love my Weird Science family beyond words. After all these years, we still keep in touch, share laughs at cons, and even exchanged anniversary wishes in our group text today. How cool is that? I hope they really do have a group text for like a 40-year-old movie.
Yeah, especially one of them's a damn college professor.
Yeah. It was such a special time in the 80s, full of shenanigans, unforgettable moments, and lots of laughs. And 40 years later, I'm beyond proud of my amazing co stars. Hashtag good peeps.
Very sweet.
Yeah. Big thanks to everyone who loves our film as much as we loved making it. Who knew a little science could create such a lasting legacy? Cheers to 40 years of weird science. And Anthony Michael Hall gave an interview to People magazine, also for the 40th anniversary. He mentioned that he's still friends with Kelly, who played Lisa. He said, "It's been so great reuniting with her recently. When you're young, you think you're always going to have new friends. So when you get older, it's nice to realize, wow, this person really matters to my life." They've probably done some, like they said, conventions together.
Yeah,
Also, I have a feeling they all got together for interviews for the 40th anniversary.
I would imagine so, yeah. There wasn't any sequels to talk about, but there were kind of remakes or remake adjacent, whatever if you want to call it that. As you mentioned, there was a sitcom. I do remember seeing the sitcom. I don't think I like watched it regularly, but I remember it being on, I believe it was the USA Network, and picking up here and there. I knew it was based off of the movie, and I'm pretty sure that at that point I've seen bits and pieces of the movie again because of cable.
Yeah.
But I feel like I liked the show more, but maybe because I didn't watch it that often, I just popped in and out, and it was probably a half-hour sitcom. But I don't fully remember. But a little bit more on that. So, like I said, it was a sitcom on USA with the same title and plot, and it ran for 5 seasons. Wow, 5 seasons, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
I was surprised at that. I mean, I remember seeing the commercials. I don't know if I ever actually watched it. I think I just remember the opening theme,
Of course.
like with the song. Yeah, I was surprised. Five's a lot.
Yeah, which was 94 to 97. Somehow that makes it sound longer. I don't know why. Like, it's so later in the 90s than I would have imagined.
Yeah.
Slight difference in Lisa in that she was originally programmed for Gary and Wyatt to practice talking to girls when the lightning storm hit her. Like, so kind of similar. They're coming up with our ideal girl. This is like
Mm-hmm.
help us talk to girls because we don't know how situation.
Yeah, that's more the intent, I guess, instead of her being created to like date them.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But same thing happens. Lightning storm brings her to life.
Okay.
Now she has, quote, genie-like powers, probably where I got that phrase from. Um,
Yeah.
in the pilot of the show, Gary says he saw this as in the idea to make a woman in the John Hughes movie. I like the throwback. I like how meta that is. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
So casting, we've got John Mather Asher and Michael Menasseri. They were Gary and Wyatt. Vanessa Angel, who I also remember from the movie Kingpin.
Hmm.
She played Lisa, and Lee
Sure.
Tergesen. I thought that name sounded familiar. He didn't look familiar. I looked him up. He was in both Wayne's World movies. He was one of their like camera guys, so I didn't recognize him because he's usually
Oh.
behind a camera and he has like the scraggly long blonde hair.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Lee plays Chet.
Okay.
Apparently, Seth Green was a finalist for Gary, which is pretty funny. He comes back seasons later and he just like does a guest spot in the show.
Okay.
So that's again nice that they, hey, you didn't make the role, but come on back now that you're
Yeah,
super
still
famous.
remembered him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the theme song is the same as you mentioned. You remember watching the commercials in the beginning. That
Mm-hmm.
didn't change. So I mean, I get Danny Elfman's probably mad or annoyed with it, but how much money did just USA give him for 5 seasons?
Yeah. That's what I always think of is like, I know it's selling out or whatever, but you're trying to make a living as, a creative. Sometimes you got to do something that's going to like pay you residuals so you
Yeah,
can live.
forever.
Yes, exactly.
If you were wondering, no, John Hughes had no involvement in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there were 6 episodes that didn't air in the initial run, but later they aired on Sci-Fi, the TV channel, in 1998. For some reason, there's like, here's some episodes lost from the files. All you weird science fans out there.
Okay. Talk about Blast from the Past, Sci-Fi Channel,
Yeah,
and then Seth Green. Like,
right. Yes.
oh man.
So eventually they were in talks to do a film, a remake, not a sequel. Again, 2013, Universal was planning the remake with original producer from the movie, Joel Silver, returning. And then also Michael Bacall. He wrote 21 and 22 Jump Street, both those films.
Okay.
So they brought him in. They wanted it to be, where have we heard this before? A little raunchier, R-rated of a comedy, edgier
Hmm.
maybe. Could I say Porky's like?
Yeah, dare I say Porky's.
Um, but I don't think in 2013 anyone was comparing movies to Porky's anymore. Even though clearly the same words are there, R-rated, edgier, etc. It never happened. All I could find on that, it just that was the idea, and it just kind of fizzled out. I read a blurb that maybe Channing Tatum would be in there, but
I will say though, it would be very easy to make something raunchier and edgier than this movie. And I'm
yes,
not saying they should, but I was surprised at what I thought I was getting into.
yeah.
And then at the end, it was like, okay, so really just the shower scene, I guess, was
And
the only, like, and you don't really, yeah, I get that.
you see
Oh
more
no, wait,
boobs
there
on
were
the
some.
lady flying up the chimney than on the
That's true.
yeah.
There were some boobs. But still, for a time that everyone is like, we want Porkies, we want this edgy sex comedy, like, this was so, like, nothing really happened.
No,
So,
no sex and hardly comedy.
right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
Well,
did it
like,
hold
maybe,
up?
yeah, maybe that answers our question about whether it held up. Yeah, it did not hold up for me, but not for the reasons I was expecting. I just expected, like I said, a raunchier comedy, which it wasn't, but I still just felt like this could have been so much more fun and it just wasn't.
I would agree to both those actually. Yeah, did it hold up? Eh, like as a concept, as a film, didn't mind it. It had the potential to be better. I think the first half starts off fine. Maybe you can just say the first act because, like I said, we dive right into the making of the girl. And I wanted what
Right.
you wanted, want more silliness, her doing more things. Like you
Mm-hmm.
think you're gonna get that in the mall when she's talking to the bad guys, but like she's like, "No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm theirs. We're going to a party now. Bye." Okay, and then
Yeah.
like the silliness we get is her erasing his parents' brain and holding a gun
Yeah.
to them, and then
And
Mad Max.
yeah, the Mad Max thing. Yeah.
I feel like it turned a way different direction than I remember it going. I probably I don't think I remember the third act of the film. I don't know if I've ever sat through it on TNT or whatever network it was on.
I don't think I had either.
I definitely remember the beginning. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I edited for TV though, but I remember them being at the jazz club and maybe a little bit after that, but I don't remember Chet the poop monster. I don't remember frozen grandparents. None of that. Anything from like halfway through on, I'm pretty sure I didn't see.
See, I remembered Chet being turned into the poo monster. But again, I have come to realize that maybe some of the things I remember are like what we talked about with the Breakfast Club when they would have commercials for 80s movie block, zany
Sure.
80s movies, and they would just show like the silliest parts of all these movies.
Yeah.
But who knows? Because like cable television, you could just turn it on and the movie could be
And it
anywhere.
was
Like,
there. Yep.
and you couldn't rewind it. So I remember the bras on their head. I actually remember when they're first trying to decide how big to make her chest and they go like really, really big. Like they always show that.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
I love that because when they're like typing it in, he's like, "Oh, make him bigger," and like he's typing too fast, and like yes, the in the screen the
mhm.
model, the blue wiring of a figure gets really
Yeah,
big, and I love their reaction shot where they're both like, "Whoa!" and they like pull away from the screen like it's coming
yep.
out at them. I think that was
Yeah.
fun. So there were some jokes I
Oh,
thought held up. Some parts were funny, but
yeah.
overall, just kept getting weirder and weirder. For lack of a better term, no pun intended.
Yeah. But not like in a fun way.
No, I
Like
was
in a just like
confused.
what am I watching way. Yeah.
Yeah. I did some homework between the breaks here.
Oh yeah.
I did watch the Weird Science music video.
Nice.
Um, Indifferent about it. Didn't think it was as bad as maybe Mr. Elfman thought. Then again, I'm not the star of
Mm-hmm.
it, so I can understand maybe like I've seen pictures of me when I was a younger Joe, and I'm like, oh man, I was wearing that. That's embarrassing. So I get it. Like you look back and maybe don't make the best decisions. I think it got repetitive pretty quickly though. They kept using the same shots, like from the movie, like the reveal of Lisa. So you get to see her like mostly like half naked a couple times, but good or bad. I don't know how you want to look at that. The same shot of Danny Elfman like kind of dancing around this machine. They were
Yeah.
very much copy paste, but yeah, it's very much like a Frankenstein situation. So that was fine.
Yeah. I still don't understand how it was necessarily any worse than anything else that came out at that time, I guess.
Right.
But I also had a thought that maybe if we were more familiar with the band's other songs or other music videos, maybe there would be a difference.
I did not look those up. Instead, I looked up the song that was kind of famous from Real Genius. They didn't really have, unless your research proves me wrong here, a bigger song like Weird Science for the movie, but
Mm,
they did have a
right.
song called I'm Falling, which I did note later in the movie. They do a montage, and I was like, oh god, this is 80s music. And I watched that video. Can't find it on a streaming service to add to our end of the season playlist, but I found something similar from that same soundtrack. But this video, eh, probably worse, I think, than Weird Science. I
Okay.
wrote here, let's see what I write. Longest 3.5 minutes of a music video. At one point, the singer is wrapped up in Christmas lights. He's just wiggling in the dark, like wrapped tightly like a mummy in Christmas lights. I don't know why.
Okay.
And then there's a tight shot, medium shot of a bunch of kids lip singing the words. And then at the end, the kids are playing the instruments, and then the band is. So, like, they keep alternating between the kids and the band. I don't know if the band's supposed to be the kids or vice versa, or they're just random kids. And that's where I feel on that. That's all I got.
So does the music video actually have anything to do with Real Genius?
Unlike Weird Science, it does not have clips of the movie, but it
Okay.
was featured in the one big montage towards the beginning of the movie where Mitch first starts kind of getting his footing with the lasers at college,
Okay.
and that was it. It just was super 80s, and the video was. I think Weird Science was a better video.
Okay. Well, let Danny Elfman know.
Yeah, I'll call him tomorrow.
Okay.
And I think we might have touched on it, but I did finally watch. Oh my god, what was the video? Oh, St. Elmo's Fire. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, it was as bad as you said. Mostly that guy's hair is horrible, but the
I
part
don't
where
remember there.
the part where they're at the bar, like you said, he's going around just like touching different people and giving them weird smiles. Like he's just like just putting his hand softly on someone's shoulder, like, "Hey, I acknowledge that you are in this video. I'm going to move on to the next actor."
Yeah, it's almost like he's trying to softly encourage the main group from St. Elmo's Fire.
Right.
I still, when you bring this up, I imagine Rob Lowe's like weird
Yeah.
smile, and they're just both weirdly smiling at each other.
It's another instance where I thought Rob Lowe was going to kiss a man on camera. Uh,
Oh, God. Yeah. I'm glad you took this trip with me,
yeah, I mean, you gotta do my homework. I forgot to watch the videos, so
right?
now I think we're caught up.
All right, great. Okay, so that all being said, our next movie is Real Genius, directed by Martha Coolidge, released August 7th, 1985, rated PG.
Young academic standout Mitch is recruited by Pacific Tech at the ripe age of 15. As a freshman in college, he is tasked to lead a team to develop an extremely powerful laser. He is roomed with senior Chris Knight, who used to be the star pupil on campus, but now seems to spend his time goofing off. Over time, Chris grows on Mitch, and he helps teach Mitch that all work and no play turns you into Kent, our annoying kiss-ass of a student. Eventually, the gang learns that Professor Hathaway has been using them to help advance his military contract, and that, in fact, their laser is going to be used for assassinations.
So, similar to Weird Science, I'm not sure if I actually had seen Real Genius before or if I had just seen like the clip they like to show, which is not actually even in the movie, by the way, of Chris Knight being floated in the lawn chair by balloons.
Oh my god, I think I know what you're talking about. It's definitely not in the movie. So if I've seen that, it's been years if I've seen that at all.
I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer because if you look up Real Genius on IMDb, that still is front and center. Again,
Interesting.
had I seen this before, had I just seen the montage of 80s clips that they would play in commercials on TBS, TNT, who really knows?
Do you know now? Or no? Is it still up in
I
the air?
I did not remember a lot of this, so I'm thinking maybe no.
Okay. I definitely seen this a few times back in my day. Definitely on Comedy Central specifically. I remember them playing this. So sorry, TBS, TNT.
Mm.
I think I've seen this more than Weird Science. I just think I used to watch a lot of Comedy Central.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
it could have been Comedy Central too that I caught bits of it on. I kind of forgot about Comedy Central there for a second.
Yeah.
This pre-production.
Uh oh.
Okay, first of all, our script was originally written by two guys, Neil Israel and Pat Proft. Both of these guys wrote Police Academy together. Pat Proft was also part of the writing team for the Naked Gun movies, so we most likely mention him in episode 18, where we talk about the entire Naked Gun franchise.
I'm glad you didn't say they were a writing team for Porky's. I'm sick of hearing that name.
Right. Neil Israel is briefly discussed in our episode on Clueless, episode 11, because he was married to Amy Heckerling, who directed Clueless. And I believe we talked a little bit about her autobiography in that episode. However, critically, they were not thought of very highly, we'll put it that way. The
Mm,
quote I have is that the two of them churn out formula teen comedies like an endless stream of Cheese Whiz, and it shows.
rough.
Rough, right? Although I wanted to point out that in reading reviews of these two movies we're discussing here, suddenly we're seeing teen comedies pop up as a term, as a genre or subgenre, however you want to look at it. Yet when The Breakfast Club came out at the beginning of the year, everyone was like, who would go see this? There's no market for teen movies.
Right.
So things have changed really quickly, but also we've had a few hits at this point. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember the release date, but like St. Elmo's Fire was a big hit, even though it was critically panned. Definitely Breakfast Club. But just interesting to see the difference now that teen movies are kind of just a known thing now.
There's a term for it now.
There's a term. Yep. Okay, so Martha Coolidge, our director, I just wanted to touch on her background a little bit because she had such an odd road to get here to where she's directing a movie for a major studio. And we also have all these stories about directors kind of swooping in to help their buddies. And she got really lucky that she had a little bit of that too. However, it's very different because she was a woman, and we will
Mm.
get into specifically why that made it different. I did want to point out that just a little fact I learned, her grandfather, his cousin was President Coolidge, Calvin Coolidge. So she is actually related to the former president.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I heard her name, I was like, oh, like the president. And then actually, yeah, she is kind of related to him. Um, so she started film school at Columbia, but in 1968, it was shut down for a student strike. She left for NYU, but the film professors there literally said to her, there is no such thing as a woman director. She said, when I applied, the guy told me I couldn't be a woman director. He said, you can't name 5 women directors in the world. And I couldn't. So she just kind of accepted that and left. It sounds like she ended up working in some film offices doing editing. She had a quote, though. Again, this is a period of time, we're probably in the 70s at this point. Secretaries had a certain look, right? Like women were more in the workplace, but still probably were expected to wear skirts and dresses and not be too masculine, so to speak. She was told, by the way, why don't you get a manicure and wear some eyelashes? So she would look more like the secretaries. She said, this always seemed ridiculous to me. How could I rewind film and splice and do the things I had to do as an assistant editor with a manicure?
Yeah, there's looks over functionality.
Right. She eventually did go to NYU Film School. She made a few documentaries about family members, short docs, and she ended up making a feature film about her own date rape called Not a Pretty Picture. It wasn't widely recognized as a crime at the time that she put this movie out, so that was part of why it made kind of a big fuss, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
In 2022, Martin Scorsese and George Lucas's separate film foundations helped pay for a restoration of this movie.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and I believe they showed it at the Academy Museum, I believe it was, but both of them separately recognized it as something important, something to preserve. So, going back to when Not a Pretty Picture was released, Francis Ford Coppola saw this movie and called her up and said he was starting his own studio, Zoetrope Studios. He said, we saw your films, we'd like to meet you. She said it freaked her out, but she went to an interview and they said, we're looking at women directors and we think you're it. I was wide eyed. It just completely made my year because they said I was a woman director.
Okay.
However,
Little
uh,
validation, sort of, right?
right, Coppola and Zoetrope eventually ran out of money before they could really produce anything with Martha Coolidge. It sounds like they were trying to get a movie made called Photoplay, and it just never, nothing ever went anywhere because of money issues. So after this, she moved to Canada. She was making a low budget movie called City Girl, ran out of money to continue producing that movie. Peter Bogdanovich heard about the movie and loved it and bailed her out just randomly.
This name. Why do I know this name?
He was a writer, a director, an actor. He also went on to become a pretty well known film historian. I feel like if you ever watch Turner Classic Movies, he was talking on there a lot.
Okay.
He also had a role in The Sopranos, which is maybe what you would know him for now.
Maybe. I did recently watch that last
Mm-hmm.
year, so maybe I've seen that name pop up.
Yep. I just think it's so funny that Martha Coolidge went from, you know, being told there's no such thing as a female director, please leave. And somehow her work was making enough waves that all these big names were coming in to work with her or like put in money to produce her movies. Somehow her finishing City Girl put her on the map for the company that was producing Valley Girl, which is a 1983 movie starring Nicolas Cage. I think it was one of his earlier movies. I know I have seen this.
I
I've
don't think
seen
I
the
have.
cover, I've seen the poster, I haven't seen the movie. So a friend who was producing Valley Girl pitched it to her, but this is what he said. Look, it's about girls, and we don't really understand girls. So that's why we'd like you to read this. You probably wouldn't be interested, but we'd really like you to direct it.
Wow. Thank you? Kind of like a backhanded compliment. Hey, you're a female. This is about females. Can you female this movie?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. However, she did direct it. It was made for $350,000. It grossed 17 million.
Well, good job
So,
being a female.
right. So yeah, maybe not the best pitch, but good for her.
And it's one of those situations, and I think we've talked about this in episodes past, where you don't love the opportunity you get, but you love the fact that you have an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure she really wanted to direct and be called a female director, but like you said, the pitch. Hey, Like if this was like two decades earlier, I can hear it in my head like, "You're a dame? Well, come on, yeah, see, yeah."
Right, exactly.
Like that's what this quote reads to me.
Yeah.
But obviously, good job, Martha here.
However,
Uh oh.
after this hit, her quote is, "We were just getting into the crunch of teenage sex comedies. I was offered every single teen sex comedy in Los Angeles, stacks of them. Some of them I had to read all the way through because I couldn't believe that people in their right mind could offer this picture to me, a woman, even if they didn't know me. I was offered nothing else, so I took the one that was the least offensive and had the most promise, and that was Joy of Sex." This is literally taken from that book that came out in the 70s, Joy of Sex.
Okay.
Paramount paid for the rights just so they could use the title. And they were basically hiring anyone they could to write a screenplay that would fit this title.
So they had a title.
Hmm.
That's it, specifically. Like, oh, that we like the title of that book. All right, let's buy that. Now, can someone make a movie?
Exactly. They were banking on the title of a best selling book, but it would not necessarily have anything to do with the book.
Oh, they were purposely confusing the audience. I get it. Yes.
Also, we need another Porky's.
I was really hoping when like you were reading this quote, I was offered nothing else, so I took the least offensive one. Porkies. If only.
If only. Yeah. So at some point, even John Hughes was working on a screenplay for this. They brought in all these different people and they just didn't like any of them. But their only direction to all these writers were to write anything that would fit the title. Penny Marshall was attached to direct at some point. John Belushi was attached to be in it, in some version of it, before he passed away. Basically, they came to a point where the deadline was running out on them owning the rights. So they had to make something really fast or they weren't going to get to use this title. So Martha Coolidge signed on to direct. She said she assumed filming would be shut down within a few days because they had this pieced together script that wasn't even finished. Like everyone kind of knew the situation they were in, where Paramount just really wanted to use these rights to the title. I think she felt that hopefully she could finagle this story a little bit, considering the situation they were in. Like, I understand why she felt like she had to keep working because you don't know if you're going to keep getting more offers,
Right,
especially
yes.
given her history to get here. However, poor Martha, she was fired during post production because she was trying to cut what she felt was unnecessary nudity.
Mm,
And remember in that quote I read, she said like some of these scripts were like horrible and offensive and,
yeah.
couldn't believe that this was the stuff being pitched. She also tried to keep in a scene where they discuss female contraception, and the studio said it was disgusting and offensive. It was okay to talk about like condoms, though.
Okay.
So
Sure, yeah.
Martha Coolidge tried to make this a little better in post, ended up being fired. The studio said, "Don't change anything. We finally have another Porky's."
There we go.
Yep. And I'm not
Finally.
kidding. That is what she described it as. So they offered to take her name off the movie or make it an Alan Smithy film, which, if you are not familiar, if a film is directed by Alan Smithy, that basically is like a John Doe, it means that the director wants to be uncredited for this movie. They don't feel comfortable having their name on this movie.
Why would they take her name off as a director when she was fired during post production, clearly for editing things out or leaving things in? Couldn't they just keep her as her title as director and then maybe not editor?
I think because she felt it wasn't representing her vision of like what she wanted this movie to be.
Okay.
And I do think based on some of her interviews, she felt some of this was just maybe going too far, maybe too gross, and she didn't want to be associated with some of it.
Okay.
I feel like this poor woman finally hits it big, but at a time where they're just all still obsessed with Porkies. And she can't get a good script. I don't quite understand what happened in the immediate, but she did keep her name on the Joy of Sex because she's like, no, it's my movie, whatever. From what I could find, Brian Grazer, who produced Real Genius, was interested in having Martha Coolidge direct based on her work on Valley Girl. And remember, he already had the script from our writing team. However, Martha Coolidge did an extensive rewrite along with three other screenwriters. Her quote is that the first script had a lot of penis and scatological jokes and felt like it was a knockoff of Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay. So we want something between Porky's and Nerds.
Maybe a little Porky's, less poop jokes? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. For the record, if you want another Porky's, just write another Porky's, which they did. There was two sequels. I don't think they were anything as good as the first one, and that's you can take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But they just make a sequel, and eventually they did. I forget how long it took. Longer than I would imagine, I guess, because of all these movies are like, make up Porky's right now. And I guess they're probably competing studios. I would imagine like, hey, this was a big hit from Studio A. We need a that for Studio B and maybe C and D. So I get it. You want to kind of be relevant, and if this is a hit, you want to make something like it. And that's how we get twin movies.
Yep. But also, to your point, how many non-Porky's hit movies do you need to be convinced that not everything has to be Porky's?
Right. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, sometimes I just really wonder, and I mean, no one can predict the future, but we see studio heads so convinced sometimes they have a hit and then it flops and vice versa that I'm just like, could anyone be a studio head? Could anyone be in the business of greenlighting movies? Because like some of these instincts we have seen in the past talking about really big movies have been so off.
Yeah, they seem to be opposite of what is assumed. Like, give Home Alone $1 and make a movie. It's not going to make anything. Oh, man, that made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. And like Clueless. No one wants to see a movie about some girls.
Not them girls.
Okay. Well, Martha Coolidge, to her credit, ended up doing a lot of in-depth research on laser technology, CIA policies. She worked with academic, scientific, and military technicians to make sure the script and the story's elements were as correct as possible. This idea of building the giant laser that they do in the film is not realistic, but she wanted to make sure the jargon, so to speak, would still hold up to scrutiny. The scientific talk, the technical talk.
Right, you want to make it as plausible and believable as you can, so you're not sitting there scratching your head. It's just kind of like our discussion between Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Yeah, there you go. She said, Brian Grazer's original goal, and mine, was to make a film that focused on nerds as heroes. It was ahead of its time. I guess in some ways I can see what she means, because I will say that Chris Knight is a very cool nerd in this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially if you compare him to the nerds in something like Weird Science, it's like, what are they really doing? They're just making a pretty girl.
Because they can't talk to girls.
Because they can't. Yeah. Yeah. So for casting, I have a quote from Brian Grazer, the producer. He posted this on his personal Facebook after Val Kilmer passed, but this is his story of how he got cast. I wasn't originally going to hire Val Kilmer for Real Genius. Truthfully, I don't even remember his audition. What I do remember is he waited for over 3 hours for me to leave the office. Then he snuck into the elevator with me. I was on the 38th floor. The whole ride down, he flipped 2 quarters in his fingers like he does in the movie. I was completely captivated by that and by him.
All it takes, huh?
Yeah, was it Rob Lowe? Someone we talked about previously this season got their role because they just walked in with a 6-pack of beer.
It was Rob Lowe for Cinemas.
Okay, yeah.
He had to be believably young, even though he was literally 19. Yeah.
Apparently this was only his second film role, Val Kilmer. For Mitch, who is kind of the younger and dorkier one here, they saw over 4,000 teen actors. They couldn't find anyone they liked. They were almost ready to settle on what they called a true genius, who was a 14-year-old who had already graduated college and was starting law school. So, sort of like the character of Mitch, where he's like plucked from high school and put into college at a young age. Gabriel Jarrett, who is the actor who plays Mitch, his agent just randomly sent him on an audition late in pre production because he heard the role was still unfilled. He was only 15. Martha Coolidge said, Gabe had the right combination of seriousness, gawkiness, intelligence, and emotion we needed. He studied with an acting teacher I brought in to help him with some of the more difficult emotional moments of the part. Could you just imagine if they hired just a random smart 14-year-old? You
No,
don't
that
have
would
to act, but you're smart, so that's fine.
right. That's well, why?
I don't know.
It sounds like they were describing Doogie Howser, graduated at 14 in a college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I found an interview with Gabriel Jarrett from 2001 where he said the cast really wasn't close. He said there was a lot of jockeying for power, especially between him and Val Kilmer, it seemed. He did say that Martha Coolidge was really nice and great to work with. This is his quote about Val Kilmer. As far as working with Val goes, his star was rising, and my experience with him was the same as others at the time. Val was very focused on Val. We got along fine, but I always got the feeling that he didn't want to share the screen with a 15-year-old punk. In my opinion, Val is a brilliant actor and should be a much bigger star than he is today. People tell me that he has mellowed out over his career, to his credit.
I get it. You're young. They're both young. I don't know what they wanted as far as a career. I don't think Mitch was in much after this, as far as I'm aware. And obviously, Val Kilmer
Mm-mm.
had the career he had.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't want to say you have to be cutthroat. I don't think that was the case here, but it's Val's second film, Gabe's first, I'm assuming, at 15, and they both really needed
Yeah, I think so.
to shine. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Mitch is probably the main character, but never when I watch this do I ever think that. I think it's Chris Knight.
Yeah. And Chris Knight's on all the promo material, too.
Yeah, but they could have gone back and changed that after the fact because of Val Kilmer. I mean, maybe it probably was back then as well,
I
but
see what you're... Yeah.
a lot of times they
Because
do
Val
that.
Kilmer ended up being so big, yeah.
I've seen posters for movies with Jim Carrey on the front when he had like a 2 minute role in it, and like Jim Carrey in this movie that he's not in. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's just to like get you to buy it or download it or pay for it somehow.
Right. I just wanted to point out before we get into the movie that Real Genius is considered to be the first movie that had an internet marketing campaign or a digital marketing campaign. I can't remember exactly how they phrase it, but this was the mid 80s, so I was confused. Apparently, the promoters set up a press conference at a computer store in Westwood, California, a week before it opened. A week before the movie opened, sorry, not the computer store. Martha Coolidge and some of the cast appeared to answer questions from the press from across the country, and all the press members were connected via CompuServe to the, event in California.
Yeah.
So the people asking the questions could have been anywhere. They had technical problems. I couldn't quite figure it out. In all the things I read, it was like, well, it was still the mid 80s. They really didn't have it all figured out. But they consider this the debut of what would become the online roundtable junket.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also pretty smart because they obviously use a lot of computers in this movie.
Yes.
It seems like they were definitely going after a certain type of people for promoting, at least the week
Mm-hmm.
before.
This had a much smarter marketing campaign than
Yeah.
Weird Science. So yes, we open our movie. I just couldn't help noting how different the opening credits are. Weird Science obviously has that Oingo Boingo song, and it's very zany and wacky, and this is such a different vibe. The song that's playing is You Took Advantage of Me by Carmen McRae. I'm not super familiar with her, but it sounded like Ella Fitzgerald or some kind of older
Yeah.
jazzy kind of singer. Yeah, totally different vibe.
Yeah. A totally different vibe, yes, from Weird Science, but also a totally different vibe from the movie we're about to watch. It's just really classy and elegant. And I'm like, we are in 1985 still, right? This movie is not going to take place some other time, even though I know that I've seen it before. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember this beginning, but when you watch it on TV,
Yeah.
you tend to come in and out of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because whether I've seen this beginning or not, I don't remember. The lyrics, just the title, "You Took Advantage of Me." I remember
Mm-hmm.
enough of the movie where I'm like, aha, this is a nice little elegant foreshadowing that I never thought
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't pick up on it when I first watched it through, but then when I was doing the research and I looked up like what is this song that plays because it is such a different vibe, I wanted to make note of it. I was like, "Oh, that's some foreshadowing that I did not pick up on." But I will say to your point, I actually had to make sure I was watching the right title when this was playing. I
Mm-hmm.
rented this from Amazon and I was like, "I clicked the right movie, right?" Because it was just so not what I expected from an 80s movie, too.
I had that for a brief second as well. I was like, wait, I picked the one with Val Kilmer in it, right? That's the one I picked.
Right? Yeah. Is there more than one real genius? So we open with this group of military government men,
Yeah.
and they're watching a commercial for a really big laser that can assassinate people from space.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that fair? Okay.
I want to point out that we don't see the men first. We open on the commercial, so it's like, what the fuck are
Right.
we watching? And you see the jet and the pilot, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"I got this," and you think it's an actual mission
Yeah. Yeah.
until like it gets ridiculous and there's a laser, and they show like some sort of generic Hispanic bad guy on a beach in a lawn chair right next to his helper making him a pina colada or something, and he just gets poofed out of existence, and the butler's like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone gives it a round of applause.
Yes. After we, kind of pull back and see that it's this group of men watching this, one of them says there's no defense like a good offense. And when I watched this, we had just started bombing Iran. And I was like, that's great. I love
Mm.
when art imitates life. Not like I need an escape or anything.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and then one of the guys says, now all we have to do is build it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess they got me there because I didn't know where we were going with all this. However, one of them says, what did you think of Don's little movie? And someone says, it didn't have enough girls in it, which I just, everyone needs to make another Porky's.
Everyone needs to make up their mind. Is it too many girls in the movie or not enough?
That too, yeah.
Also, there were three actors in this quote unquote commercial. I guess there aren't any women in it, but what are they looking for?
Yeah. Okay, I have to ask you, the main professor,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm blinking on his name,
Hathaway?
Hathaway, is he
Jerry?
in this? Jerry, yeah. Is he in this group?
I don't believe so. It's just a bunch
Okay.
of like stuffy looking guys.
Okay, because I wasn't sure as we went through this movie if I was supposed to think this whole time that Jerry was a bad guy and was using the students or not. And I didn't know if maybe I missed like
Hmm.
some foreshadowing that he was always bad.
Maybe because I've seen it on Comedy Central before, but I knew he was bad.
Okay.
So maybe that's. I think they try to hide it a little bit, but kind of early in the film, I'm sure we're about to get there. Like one of
Mm-hmm.
the guys from the round table comes to speak to him. So I don't know.
Well, right. At that point, I was getting it. But
Okay.
also, okay, you know how I have that problem with war movies where I'm like, well, all these people look the same. I can't tell them apart. I kind of had this thing too where I'm like, these are just a bunch of old white men. They all look the same. And like, literally any of them could have come to talk to Jerry and I would not have
Yeah.
realized.
Well, I get it because after this scene, it's the science fair, and we see
Mm-hmm.
Jerry looking for his next like protege. So we don't know anything
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Yeah.
But I think that's
Okay.
intentional. And then soon after, we find out that he's just using slave labor in a
That's right.
way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They ain't getting
Okay.
paid.
Well, right.
Going back to the war room, one of the guys ends up leaving, like, this is unethical. And then they basically mention that they were going to phase him out, i.e., probably get rid of him, i.e., murder.
Mm-hmm.
But then one of the older military guys, and I know he's a military guy because he's got a gaudy costume on. They're talking about, we got to get this weapon to work, and he's like, I haven't had a working weapon since Korea. And then everyone laughs at his broken dick. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's such an old man thing. Like, oh, my penis doesn't work. Isn't this funny? I was like, why is that funny? Why is everyone laughing at you? God.
How
So
awkward.
that's our porkies for the scene.
So we cut to the science fair where Jerry is sort of discovering Mitch, and he's like come to college as a 15-year-old. I was so confused because I was like, this professor slash scientist is a celebrity? Who is this man? What's happening?
Yeah,
Because everyone's making a big deal that he's walking into the science fair.
yeah, they're crowding him. I think trying to get autographs.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
find out later, like he has a TV show, like a think of like Bill Nye, but not nearly as cool, like at all.
Because there's not a lot of introduction to him. I guess not a lot of clear introduction. We know he's famous. We don't quite know why. And then he's just suddenly offering a scholarship to a high school freshman. I did like someone did a science project about when you give alcohol to mice, it's bad.
Right.
And I thought that was funny.
Yeah, they were just laying
Um,
around the cage, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
looking dead. And I also liked when Jerry starts talking to Mitch about, like all his accomplishments. He would be a great fit for, starting college. His mom says something like, oh, if he didn't do well on one of these tests, it's probably my fault I didn't make him a good enough breakfast.
Yeah. Very overly motherly.
Yes. Also, whenever my son has state testing or something, he'll be like, oh, my teacher said we should eat a really good breakfast. I'm like, that's always what they tell you? Like, because I remember that. I
I
remember when
remember that.
we had the state tests and they're like, make sure you eat a good breakfast. It's like, I don't know, I'm going to eat what I eat every damn day 'cause not that hungry.
Right, yeah. Well, what am I supposed to eat? This s'more Pop Tart isn't good enough for your state testing?
Right.
Speaking of this guy's mom, I swear to God, this is the actor's real mom. They look so similar. Good job on the casting director, I guess,
Yeah.
but I had to take a moment like, oh my God, they like the nose, the chin, everything.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, his dad reminded me of Randy Quaid, more so in his cadence and not his looks.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember enough about his parents now.
Yeah, they're there for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Jerry had a line. I don't remember what. I think Mitch is maybe downplaying himself a little bit, and he says, compared to you, most people have the IQ of a carrot.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
I did like when we're introduced to Val Kilmer's character, Chris. He's in a job interview, I think.
Sort of.
Sort of. He's being like given a tour of a lab, and he is in the most relaxed, zany 80s outfit. And I really like the juxtaposition of we see a close up of him walking with one of the guys that actually works at the lab. And I think it starts with a close up of their shoes. And Chris is in tennis shoes and like baggy pants, and this man's walking in a full suit with dress shoes. And it was a
Hmm.
nice intro to his character.
Yeah. It was speaking of nice intro to this character. We do get a lot of good, quick lines when he's introduced. He's
Mm-hmm.
very quippy. He's a big jokester. When he's getting a tour of this facility or whatever, he calls out one of the guys for a satellite dropping debris on Europe. He's just like, yeah, you're the guy that fucked everything up, right? So I think it's funny. He's given this opportunity here to work somewhere very nice, I would assume, especially for the world of science business.
Science business.
And he's almost messing it up by just insulting the people he's meeting,
Yes,
which is kind of cool. He also is showing integrity.
that's true. I didn't know what to expect. I guess I expected him to be annoying or bratty, but I really liked his character immediately.
Yeah, when he's kind of giving these quips and insulting people for dumping debris in Europe, they're a little taken aback because how dare you, right? And we're given this impression it's supposed to be Chris Knight, this boy genius. People want him to work for them and vice versa. And
Hmm.
the guy goes, "You are Chris Knight, aren't you?" And Val goes, "I hope so. I'm wearing his underwear."
Yeah.
And there's like lines like that throughout the whole film that aren't like maybe the most laugh out loud, holding my side funny, but they're
But it's
just
clever, yeah.
it's clever and not at the same time. It's just clever enough to be under the radar and silly enough to be funny. He's showing that he just doesn't care. And I like that.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to hire me because I'm smart or because I'm kissing ass?
Yeah. And I also liked how much the dialogue like that keeps everything moving along because it
Mm-hmm.
probably would have been very easy to get bogged down with the jargon of everything. And especially if, you're like you and me watching this and you're not necessarily a scientist or have a background in any of this, I could see a situation where we'd be getting lost very easily and like taken out of the movie. But it's really Chris's dialogue that keeps everything like snapping and moving along.
Yeah, he's the glue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mitch.
Yeah, sorry, Mitch. You're just there. Speaking of Mitch, they're at a kind of like a welcome thing for the freshmen, and someone says, I think the young people enjoy it when I get down verbally. I assume this is one of the professors.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was very odd, but I think it's supposed to
Mhm.
be odd.
But Mitch, we see him checking out his dorm room. I wrote, did Mitch's roommate go eat in the closet? And this is our introduction to
Laszlo. He's not his roommate.
I
Yeah.
thought he was his roommate.
Yes.
He's no longer a student, but he kind of burnt out, and we see eventually he lives kind of in the walls.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
If you have kids and you've seen Encanto, it's very Bruno-esque. This actor who plays Laszlo is John Grice. Grease. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. Who I always remember from Napoleon Dynamite.
What?
He's Uncle Rico.
What? I failed my
I'm
game.
sorry, are you okay?
No, I don't see it.
Okay.
I mean, I believe
Also,
you. I'm just my head is what?
more recently, for anyone who watches The White Lotus, he is Greg. And that's what I realized once they had a close up on him. I saw Greg from The White Lotus and realized who he was.
Wow, look at that. Look at that side by side.
Yep.
Uncle Laszlo. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so obviously this is your first watch, or so you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So you thought Laszlo was his roommate, obviously, because he comes into the room and just goes into the closet with he
Well,
has
yeah,
a
because I was like,
bowl of
why else?
cereal or something. What he's
I
eating?
thought he had McDonald's.
So, I can't remember. He goes in there a few times with different food vessels, and
That's true.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's almost like I remember watching this for the first time, thinking like, what is he just? But yeah, he has this demeanor that's very introverted and shy, and I guess he walks into his room and there's a young man doing whatever he's doing in his room. I think he was unpacking. And so yeah, first time I watched, I was like, why is he hiding in this closet eating? Is he like, does he have to take a retainer out? Is it something embarrassing? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and my thought was, okay, if this man is his roommate, then how does Chris get brought into all this?
Right, yes.
Because, and then when, I think it's almost right after this, Chris Knight walks in and says, like, I'm your roommate. Mitch realizes he is the legendary Chris Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Chris is a senior, Mitch is a freshman, but Chris has some kind of silly explanation about how he wanted to get back to the root of why he started at this college or whatever. So that's why he wanted a room with a freshman. But in this whole scene, I was like, okay, I was wondering how they were going to bring Mitch and Chris together. So they needed a reason. But yeah, my initial thought was, well, if the weird closet man is his roommate, like, how are we going to get these two in scenes together? But yeah, all
I
makes
mean,
sense now.
I'll be honest with you. On this watch, this rewatch, I forgot that they were roommates. I thought Laszlo was his roommate just because he came into the room and goes in the
Yeah.
closet. I'm like, oh, clearly Chris is in the same dorm. I know they're going to work on the laser together. So I'm like, that's probably how they meet. And so I was also a little surprised, even though I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
But yeah, like Chris wants to like mentor Mitch. I think they will be working on the project together. And I feel like, and this is just a theory, but I think like part of it is Chris wants to almost take young Mitch under his wing just so he doesn't become a Laszlo.
I could see that a little bit. I also think Chris is uncomfortable kind of entering the corporate world,
Yeah,
and these feelings he has give way to like this whole characterization of him as someone who would very much oppose this laser they're working on. Like everything, the character they're setting up, his whole arc makes sense throughout the movie.
yeah, and we just saw him. I don't want to say bomb the interview because he did this intentionally, I guess, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he also wants to come back to his roots in air quotes, i.e., school, because he feels more comfortable there. I don't think he wants a real job or any
Yeah.
business. And I think that's part of it. So it's kind of a selfish thing as well.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's funny too to see Mitch realizing that this very unserious guy is the Chris Knight.
Yeah.
And I don't think we even mentioned Mitch is wearing a suit.
Oh, he is very atypical, stuffy looking. I don't want to say rich, but that's
It
how,
comes off that
yeah,
way.
like the way he's dressed is what you would see generically as like a rich, preppy,
Mm-hmm.
smart little kid that would probably get picked on by somebody else in another movie.
He definitely, like, he is genuinely very smart, but he definitely gives the vibes of someone who had, like, helicopter parents who really helped him kind of stand out a lot.
Yeah. In the next scene, after they meet, we see this is like connection like right away with Jerry and the military because he is being driven by one of the guys from the war room, the guy that's been assigned like make sure your guy on the inside gets his laser done. So we see this bald headed guy a lot interact with Jerry, and they're on campus for whatever reason because Jerry's getting a new house built.
Mm-hmm.
Probably by the military. They're probably hooking him up.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard at this scene. Jerry is being driven by the military guy. And I want to emphasize that because he goes, "Oh no, I can't be seen with you," and he takes some sort of folder paper or whatever and covers up the military guy's face, who is driving, and he's like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck?" Ah! um, for a
Oh.
bunch of geniuses, they're dumbasses.
Right. Okay, yeah. I was a little confused at first that this was Jerry's house that was either his new house that was being built or being remodeled, whatever. But when he's snapping at some of the workers and he says, "You're laborers. You're supposed to be laboring. That's what you get for not having an education." I was like, God damn, Jerry.
Yeah, I feel like I have a bit of an education and I labor, so
Mm-hmm.
fuck me, I guess.
Jeez.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. After this, we have the scene where Mitch is meeting the rest of the students who are working on Jerry's project. And this is also where we meet Kent, who is the very obnoxious asshole villain. Villain for the rest of the students, I guess. Jerry is our actual villain.
Yes.
But Kent thinks he's smarter than everyone else and he's definitely sucking up to Jerry. I wrote that I can't help like we're setting up Mitch to fail by harping on how much smarter he is and putting him in charge of this team immediately when he's the new kid. Because
Yeah.
Kent makes a big deal about like he knows everything and he knows Jerry so well that he even tries to call him by his first name instead of Dr. Hathaway. And then Jerry comes in and he's like, "No, Mitch is in charge now." Like this 15-year-old who's brand new.
Yeah.
That was an interesting choice.
But yeah, he it is setting him up for failure. Obviously, they have to make tension, and really, it's only setting Kent up to make him fail because, of course, he gets jealous. But he comes in the laser room before and introduced himself. Right now, he's not in charge of shit, and he's just like, "Oh, this looks incorrect" or something. Just like trying to be real innocent and also a team player right away. And we get this quote from Kent, and this really kind of shows his personality right away. He says, "When Jerry's not here, you do what I say. It goes from God to Jerry to me."
Yeah.
Dr. Hathaway walks in and he goes, "Hello, Jerry." To which Hathaway replies right away. He goes, "I told you before, Kent, you get to use my first name."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Did I?" And he doesn't know and he just keeps calling him Jerry. And he's like, "Kent, stop!" And the whole movie, and it's a running joke that I actually found was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Like Kent is definitely too big for his britches.
I think that's part of it. But I think I felt personally that he just wants to feel like Jerry and him are peers,
Mm.
and more like
Yes.
he's kind of not bringing Jerry down to his level, but he's trying to raise himself up to
Yes.
like almost like force himself in Jerry's eyes to look like an equal to Jerry,
Hmm.
and it clearly isn't working. And
Yeah.
that's when he's like, when I'm not here, this guy is the little kid that just came in." So one of
Hmm.
the other lab tech goes, "Oh, I guess it goes from Jerry to God to Mitch."
Yeah. And then doesn't Jerry ask Kent to go get his dry cleaning or something?
Yes, he is Jerry's errand boy.
Yes.
So, like you said, we have two bad guys. Kent is kind of the student villain, and Jerry's the overall villain of the movie, I guess, as he is helping build a laser to assassinate people. I like Jerry. I hate to say it. I like this performance. I
Hmm.
like this no nonsense. He's just calling people out in their shit, including his students. He's got some good lines too, especially towards Kent, who is just he annoys everybody, especially the viewers, in my opinion. And it's
Yeah.
funny having this other bad guy, who the other bad guy is kissing ass to, call him out, and you're like, "Yeah, you tell him, Jerry. Also, fuck you, Jerry, but you tell Kent."
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy watching Jerry as a character,
Yeah,
especially in scenes like this where you said he's just being very no nonsense and like, what are you talking about, Kent? Like, shut up.
yeah,
There's a scene after this where I think it's one of the students in particular turns the whole dorm into a skating rink.
mm-hmm,
He freezes it, and then at a certain point in time, it's going to melt and turn into gas, he says. But they talk about how they're just really smart kids at this school who need an outlet for all this knowledge. And so they do stuff like this. Like they turn the dorm into an ice rink. This is the kind of fun stuff I wanted to see more of in Weird Science, where like these kids don't have powers necessarily, but Lisa in Weird Science had these powers. I wanted it to be more fun. Like she could do anything.
yeah.
And I feel like that's what we get more of in Real Genius. And that's why I had so much more fun watching it.
I agree. Lisa, with her vague "I dream of genie" powers,
Mm-hmm.
it was more like getting cool stuff and throwing parties. Different 80s vibe, I suppose, where this one, I felt that they did things just because they could, unlike Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
their power was their brain, their intellect. I think it's
Uh,
the one Asian kid in the dorm that made the ice. He's like, "Oh yeah, I just figured I can make this science words that I didn't understand, and then it's gonna just
mm-hmm.
turn straight to gas." And Kent's like, "Oh, you mean it's gonna melt?" He goes, "Nope, it's just gonna turn right into gas. Don't be around when that happens, though." What?
Yeah. I feel like Chris says something too, like, oh, you finally figured it out. So this is obviously some side project he's been working on just for fun.
Right.
I think this is where we meet the character of Jordan. She is a female student who talks a lot and really fast, and it seems like she never sleeps. She has a lot on her mind at all times.
Yeah.
She interrupts Mitch at the urinal to just like talk his ear off about something.
Yeah, we meet her the scene before with the
Okay.
ice. She actually is bobsledding down the stairs,
Mm.
and that's when they interact. And she has a brief conversation with him, and then disappears. And that's where she does mention that she never sleeps. And then so the next
Hmm.
morning, the scene you're talking about,
Oh, okay.
he's in
That's
the
the next
bathroom, and
morning.
she just bursts in just to talk to him, and he's like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And she is oblivious to the fact that he's trying to have some privacy.
Yeah. I really liked her character, even though she's supposed to be a lot. I think I was supposed to find her a little annoying, maybe, but I ended up really liking her, even though she obviously needs to learn how to read the room.
Yeah, all of the geniuses in this movie have quirks, obviously, but hers is not reading the room or sleeping, I guess.
Yeah.
I've always liked this character. I remember seeing it on TV as a kid and liking this very like high strung out speeding conversationalist. I thought she was fun, but also very genuine. She seems like she cares a lot.
Hmm.
I forget why she's even in there talking to Mitch while he's trying to take his morning pee. I think she said she made him a sweater based on just looking at him. Like, I can just judge you or what. I don't know. Just random conversation that could wait 2 minutes. And so Mitch, I think, has a shy bladder because he's just standing there nervous and he can't. He's like hugging the wall. And eventually, Jordan, in her rambling, goes, "Okay, I got to go now." And Mitch is like, "Yeah, me too."
Yeah.
And it's so dumb, but it's so spot on. It made me laugh. I do have a note. I know we kind of already talked about it. But I wanted to mention that 15-year-old Mitch dresses like he's 85.
Oh, yeah, he does. Chris ends up in this little, I guess, common area of the dorm with vending machines. And I wrote that these vending machines look so dated.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know if they were dated for the 80s already, but maybe this is like, because vending machines, I mean, okay, obviously they still exist, but I feel like that was more of a thing back then.
yeah,
But I thought it was so funny that he has a kind of like a cylinder of liquid nitrogen that he like cuts for a coin to use for the vending machine.
yes,
But again, this is the silly science stuff that I am enjoying. I wanted there to be stuff like this in Weird Science.
yeah. It makes sense that there's not though after watching it, and this is literally a bunch of geniuses on a high level campus that's specifically for these science nerds, so to speak. This is where we get that song I was talking about. They start working on the laser together, the I'm Falling song.
Mm.
God, is this 80s? It is. Oh, it's. It's just. I don't even know if that's the real music, 'cause I can't remember it now, but it's. You get the idea.
Is this also where we get the montage of Mitch showing up to different classes amongst the clips of them working on the laser? Because you see Mitch going to class, and a lot of the students are leaving recorders out
Yes.
instead of attending the lecture. And it
Yes.
gets to be more and more recorders, fewer students. I think at one point, maybe Mitch is like the only student. And then at the end, he shows up for class, no students, all recorders, and the professor doesn't even show up. He just leaves like a projector.
This is the same montage, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought this was really funny.
After this montage, we finally get a look inside the closet. Mitch has been trying to catch who we will find out is Laszlo later. We don't know his name
Mm-hmm.
yet. He pretends to sleep sometimes. He's trying to catch him in the mirror. He just
Yeah.
finally gives up and jumps in the closet right afterwards and eventually figures it out. And it takes him on basically kind of a roller coaster ride to, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the belly of the dormitory.
This reminded me so much of The Emperor's New Groove. If you've ever seen that, and I had watched this recently with my son, when Kronk and Esma first go to her lab, there's like a fake wall, and they ride this little, basically, roller coaster car down some tracks, and it deposits them into her lab. Very similar to this, like in the inner belly of the building.
I have not seen that movie in a while. I wish I knew what you're talking about. I just wanted to point this whole thing out because I feel like, in a way, in a loose way, this is kind of like another Rube Goldberg machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a better
Another
way to go to
wacky
the.
80s thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you just go to the basement?
No.
No, okay.
One cannot simply just walk downstairs.
I mean, it's kind of cool to have a secret little closet compartment. You know, you have your own little bat cave, if you will.
That is kind of what it's like, yeah.
I guess maybe it makes sense too the more I think about it because he is a former student protege. I get the feeling he's slightly older than everybody else, so maybe he's not even supposed to be living there anymore, but he's got nowhere else to go.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the next scene, Chris is showing up at Jerry's house because he's supposed to be the leader of the project, even though he just says Mitch is. But he's been still relying heavily on Chris, who
Mm-hmm.
is slacking off. And he's waiting for Jerry. Jerry comes by, he's jogging or whatever, and he asks Chris, "Do you still run?" Only when chased.
Yep.
Like, again, dumb things. I don't even know why I write these down because, like, doesn't I don't I'm not Val Kilmer. My delivery is not as good. But
Oh
it's just
no,
these little quips that just are so silly that I love so much.
this is the same scene where he says, I want to start seeing a lot more of you in the lab. And Chris says, fine, I'll gain weight.
Yep,
I thought it
exactly.
was so funny.
Yeah. It's also where Jerry reveals that he hates popcorn. I think he offers it. I think he's eating it. And he offers Jerry popcorn. He's like, I hate popcorn.
I thought that was so random that he was waiting for Jerry while eating this like bag of popcorn. And then, I mean, it's important later, but
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, who like hates popcorn that much?
I literally wrote "Who hates popcorn" with like 5 question marks. So later on, Chris gets Mitch to like relax. He tricks him to going to a party, which he's happy to hang out with Chris. They're starting to be a friendship there. Jordan is there, and clearly Mitch and Jordan are having feelings for each other. Well, fucking Kent. He goes marching his ass to Jerry's house. He's like, I want you to know they're at a party with girls.
Yeah,
Get
that's
bent,
the
Kent.
worst. Yes.
What a
Um,
dick.
I did think it was really sweet how Mitch is like really uninterested in these girls that they get to attend the party. And if I remember correctly, they're all in swimsuits. I feel like it's very Porky's. I don't know.
They're in swimsuits. They're in like a theater, and they make the
But they
orchestra
turned it
pit into a
mm-hmm.
pool. Again, they
Yes.
they did things because they can do things, and they have a
Mm-hmm.
water slide. So like they're not just in bikinis because they are in bikinis, but
It's
they're
like a beach theme, pool
yeah,
theme party. Yeah.
yeah, they're surfing in
Um,
this like 5 foot pool.
yeah. And everyone's trying to get Mitch to interact with these girls they brought in from another school or something.
They are
Um,
future beauticians.
that's it. Okay. And I thought it was so sweet that Mitch is completely uninterested and looking bored, and then his face lights up when Jordan runs into the party. However, I was then reminded that he is 15 and she is 19, and that just feels like a big age gap for that age.
Yeah, it's not great, but
Yep.
definitely gave me Clueless vibes.
Yeah, poor Clueless. They'll
Uh,
never live that down. And in real life, the actress that plays Jordan was 8 years older than Mitch, because Mitch was really 15.
Yeah, so double the character's age difference in real life.
Yes. Mhm.
Excellent.
Yep, it's great. I think this brings us to like Kent and Jerry running in to bust up the party, because I wrote, why is Kent the worst?
I don't want to assume why you wrote this, but I read that for the scene, I only think of like him being behind Jerry, and Jerry's like, "Do the thing," and Kent's like, "Yeah, the thing," and some other thing, "Yeah, the other thing." And he's just basically being a fucking parrot, and yeah, he is the worst.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Mitch eventually is at a point where he's feeling like he doesn't belong there. He calls home and he's trying to get his parents to come pick him up. I'm so sorry, but every time there's a scene like this, I think of Mean Girls, like at the end scene when everyone's fighting and the really dorky boy's like, Mom, come pick me up. But
That's what it was.
I know. But Mitch is just like feeling like he is way out of his league, and his parents were being really tough love on him. They really were not being understanding or sympathetic at all, to the point where it was too much.
I don't even know
I
if
was
I'd call it
surprised.
tough love. I feel like it was something else, like almost negligence. No, that's not the right word. Ignorance, maybe. They just seem like they are not understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the dad's giving a little tough love because eventually we hear the conversation because Kent's a dick. They
Mm-hmm.
record it and they play it over the cafeteria PA to
Yes.
embarrass this poor kid. But they rent his room out to somebody else
Oh
already.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The dad says something like, you're a man now. I'm like, the kid is 15.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what struck me is he's not a regular 18 or 19-year-old who went off to college. He's a high schooler that got this opportunity many years sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And they were already renting out his room like he's like really an adult and he's never coming back. It was just a lot. And I think that's maybe where I was surprised at how unsympathetic they were, because he is still I mean, he's a teenager, but he's still more of a kid than all these other kids he's at college with.
Right.
So I was surprised by that. Also, just the characterization of the mom in the beginning, where she's like talking about making him a good enough breakfast and stuff. I was surprised she wasn't more like, okay, let's see what we can do to fix this.
Right.
That felt out of character to me personally. But yes, to your point, Kent records this conversation and plays it in the cafeteria for everyone to hear and embarrasses Mitch.
Yeah, so Mitch storms off to his room. He's packing to leave, where Chris comes in and convinces him not to, that there are reasons to stay. One of them, he tells a story about Laszlo and that
Mm-hmm.
he burned himself out. And so now he's kind of not a kook exactly, but he's a little off and he's a little bit of a shut in. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know, it feels like between this discussion here and then the next scene, Chris is at Jerry's house and Jerry threatens him that he's going to flunk out because he's been goofing off too much. I wrote,
Mm-hmm.
is this a story about work life balance?
Right.
That's what it feels like. The final nail in the coffin for Mitch to stay was to get back at Kent for embarrassing him. It
I
was
get
like,
that.
it was revenge from a nerd?
There you go.
Uh oh.
You point out this scene afterward where Chris is at Jerry's house again and Jerry's, telling him he's going to flunk out, whatever. This is where we meet this girl, Sherry,
Mm-hmm.
who Chris is kind of hitting on a little bit. And it turns out she is the daughter of one of Jerry's colleagues.
One of the
Be-
military guys, I think.
okay, because he's in a meeting with Jerry, and then when he comes out of the meeting, he leaves with Sherry.
Yeah. We do see Sherry early in the film where we first meet Chris Knight because she talks about how she looks a little bit different. She's got glasses and her hair is done differently, but she talks about how Chris is one of the top 10, if not top 5 brains in the country. And then
Oh, I didn't realize that was her.
I'm fairly confident it's her because like she brings that up again, and she is just like I'm gonna put it out there. She has a kink, and it's smart men, and she is collecting them like Pokemon.
Jesus.
Am I wrong?
Okay. Well, okay, not really. But I
Mm,
bring this up because I am very confused by this character because then we see her trying to seduce Mitch, for lack of a better term.
hmm
That is the same person, right?
She also is trying to get with Jerry because in another scene, I don't know if it's
Well, we see
before.
her sleeping with Jerry.
I don't
Or
know if it.
we get the impression that I got the impression they had slept together.
I got the impression that she did not sleep with Jerry yet. Jerry's fully dressed. The scene is Chris comes knocking on the door, demanding something. They figured out the laser. I think that's what it was, and
Mm-hmm.
it draws Jerry's attention away. And you see Sherry in just one of Jerry's shirts. I'm assuming, like kind of being flirty on the steps, and then she gets mad that Jerry leaves. So I'm under the impression that it hasn't happened yet
Oh.
because she seems so frustrated. But maybe I don't know. I don't know. It just
See, I
seems like
thought they had already hooked up because she was wearing his clothes.
either way, this woman, she talked about other geniuses in the beginning part of the movie. She was flirting with Chris, kind of flirting with
Yeah.
Jerry, and then she's flirting with Mitch at one point. And I don't want to steal your line here, but she was waiting on him to turn 15.
Yeah, this is where I got extremely confused because I can understand this idea that they sent her to seduce Mitch, whatever. But then she says she's been waiting 3 years to get with him. Like, number one, how did they even knew each other? Like, what is she
She
talking
must
about?
she must like track people's ACT
She
SAT scores.
she keeps track of smart men who are just like
I
out there.
fucking guess, dude.
I know. And then, yeah, like you said, that also means she was into him when he was 12.
Right.
Like,
And so if we thought the Jordan Mitch age difference was weird, like we don't know how old Sherry is, but she's definitely older than college.
right. Yeah,
Uh,
because she has a full time job. If,
right. I did
yeah.
read that this
Hmm.
scene is supposedly on Mitch's 16th birthday. I think I only know that because I read into it. So yeah, I wrote, how would we know that? Apparently, Sherry likes seeking out young, brilliant minds and seducing them. But yes, it is fucking creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like if it is on his 16th birthday, like, okay, so 13, like 1 year
Yeah.
better, so to speak. Nope, still don't like any of it. However, what I thought was very sweet was that Mitch kind of freaks out about this and he immediately goes to Jordan's dorm
Mm-hmm.
and tells her how he feels. And it was sweet.
Yeah.
However, in real life, Gabe, who plays Mitch, the kiss that we see on film with Jordan is the second girl he had ever kissed. The first girl was earlier when he kisses Sherry, or when Sherry kisses him, rather.
Wow. His first two kisses on film, captured for the world
Yep.
to see.
And the actress who plays Sherry, Patty D'Arbonville, was married to Don Johnson at the time,
Okay.
who was like big movie star at the time. For those who maybe aren't familiar, Dakota Johnson's dad. But this little 15-year-old getting like his first big movie role and he's kissing Don Johnson's wife. That's his first kiss.
That's funny. Well, that pep talk, obviously, of flunking out set Chris right
Mm-hmm.
ish, right enough to at least focus more back on school. And they're working hard on the laser, it's coming along. So they go to class or they go to take a test or whatever, and Kent's like, I'll be right there. I just want to, I don't know, do some Kent shit. And he sabotages the laser.
Some kid shit.
Yeah, some kind of,
Yeah.
which is sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get that he doesn't want to be, I think at this point, number three, because Mitch and Chris are 1A and 1B. And he sabotages the laser, but he also has been working on it for months with two other students. So he's taken down all six of them just to make Chris look bad. And I get it, he's a villain, but what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Oh, I know. He's like so angry. He's just going to burn it all down. But yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, that's years of his work too.
Yeah. If I was on a big project I spent months working on, like, I don't want to start over, man. We made so much progress.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
you know what? I'll take number three. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, he's Chris is spending more time in the lab. We get this montage of him sort of getting his grades up, like a very, he's studious now and he's working hard in school. There's some big final exam that is in Jerry's class that they are legitimately nervous for, even Chris, who seems to kind of breeze through everything normally. So we see them all studying together a lot. I did really like the part toward the end of the montage where Chris hands in his final exam, puts it on Jerry's desk. Jerry's sitting at the front of the class watching them all take their test. He gives him the test and he gives him an apple. And then there are a few more cutaways. And then we see that the apple was actually an explosive. And it
Yeah.
sort of explodes on Jerry's desk after Chris walks away.
Yeah, luckily he threw it in the garbage, I believe.
Oh, yes. He
Yeah.
doesn't. He decides not to eat it. Yeah.
But he also left
Um,
a note on his test, like a little post it, and it said, I aced this, or something like that.
yeah. And I I know I touched on this already, but I feel like it's a testament to Val Kilmer's characterization of Chris that he's so fun and so charming that even when he does stuff like that where he's obviously full of himself, I don't care. I'm like, yes, get that. Like
I think, though, if it was somebody else, it would be more braggadocious and annoying, but it's against
mhm.
Jerry, who, in the one scene where
Yeah.
he's threatening him, because even if you pass, you fail. Like, I think he was basically saying, I make the rules, fuck you. And
Yeah.
Chris went above and beyond to not only ace a test, but then make your laser work. You can't flunk them. And so I think if it was any other professor or even another student, it would feel tacky and make me think less of Chris. But because it's Jerry, it's one of those moments where you're like, yeah, get him.
Yeah, and like you said with him making that threat, we've definitely established Jerry as a villain at this point too, so that makes it better.
Yeah. You want to see him get his comeuppance, even if it's just a note and an exploding apple. So even though Chris did, we're assuming he aced this test, and they got the laser to work, but Kent fucked it up. So now when they show Jerry, it doesn't work. Jerry's mad at Chris. Chris has a little bit of a breakdown, and then I think he's at the vending machine, and something about the liquid nitrogen quarter or whatever, something sparks in him that he's like, oh, I can figure this out.
Hmm.
And he wants to tell his new bestie Mitch, and he's running around, and everyone he runs into, he's like, "Hey, where's Mitch? You're not Mitch. Mitch, are you in here? You're also not Mitch. Mitch, are you there? No, you're not Mitch." And it's about as ridiculous as I'm making it, but for some reason I loved it. It's just
Yep.
I he's just super excited and very much Chris and Val I think are almost one person by the time this scene is happening.
Yeah, yeah. Also, wrapped up in all this, they all kind of start fucking with Kent. Part of this is to kind of ruin Kent being a part of this project. They're kind of like spying on him and Jerry too, if
Well,
I'm remembering it correctly.
they find out that Jerry has his contract in the military, and the only one that knows anything else in detail is Kent. So they're
Hmm.
fucking with him to get information to find out because, like, you know, it's one of those things. My invention is used for bad, and now we want to
Yes.
stop that.
Hmm.
So this is where they give him some sleeping drugs, and in his very comical braces, they put a radio device and they talk to him
Hmm.
as if they were Jesus, and it's hilarious.
So Kent thinks that he's hearing voices and, eventually decides like this is a religious experience. Yeah, so they pretend to be Jesus and they're scolding him, like you said. Okay, we see Kent looking very disheveled in all this, and he's wearing kind of open layers of shirts, like button down shirts. However, I- he's wearing like a collar of a turtleneck. And I wrote, is he wearing a dickie? Because it's just the high neck part of a turtleneck and then some fabric underneath it, and that's it. And I have seen dickies that are like normal collars,
Yeah.
but this is like a turtleneck dickie.
I thought it was just a turtleneck under another shirt, but it was like half button. I don't know. I was more paying
It
attention.
ends.
It ends? Okay. Okay.
I don't know. His
I'll
neck
have to
was
look it
cold.
up
I don't know.
again. This neck was cold.
Well, and it's yellow, and all his
Yes.
other
It's
clothes are
very,
more neutral, so it stands out too.
it's kind of Dwight Schrute a little bit.
I could see that, yeah. I did think, like you said, this was so funny though, that he just ends up thinking that this really is like God talking to him. And it brings us to that final big scene where they're gonna screw up the laser, they're gonna make it hit Jerry's house, and they've also filled his house with like a giant Jiffy Pop. So it's gonna fill his house with popcorn. However, Kent goes in there because he's looking for Jerry. I can't quite remember why.
So we're going to like breeze through this ending, it seems like, based on our notes here. I'll wrap it up though. There's another time where they pretend to be Jesus and talk to Kent, and they
Hmm.
tell him to meet at Jerry's house at a certain time, but don't go in, Kent. And he goes in there
Right.
anyways because they don't want Kent to get hurt because they know they're going to aim the laser at the house. So
Right.
they're nice pranksters, you know. Also, I think in the first scene to prove that they were Jesus, he's like, "How do I know? I'm not just crazy." He's like, "Quit touching yourself." He's like, Jesus? So I thought that was kind of funny. And then in the second time, he mentions he is Mitch, who is voicing fake Jesus. He's like, "My dad's gonna be very mad at you." He's like, "God?" He's like, "Who else do you think?" The movie could have ended probably already before we're even talking right now. They turned into like secret spies now, and now they have a mission to
Hmm.
go to the military camp to break into the plane, to re-coordinate the laser, to fire at Jerry's house so they can pop the popcorn to ruin his house because he hates popcorn. And there are no notes on our script because I think we just were like, yep, this is a
It
whole
just
nother
is all
movie.
happening so fast. Well, and also, like bringing us back to the moment where they're all kind of hiding out, waiting for it to happen, and Kent shows up, despite Jesus telling him not to go in the house. He does anyway.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so funny because there's a stained glass window in the house and a light hits it, and he's really thinking that he's having a religious experience because they've been messing with him and
Yeah.
thinking that, he's talking to God. And I just thought that was a really funny culmination of everything where they're yelling at him, like not in his head. They are yelling at him outside to get out of the house. And he's like, well, I'm not going to listen to you dweebs. And because he thinks he's talking to God in his head, he's like, I'm not
Yeah,
going to listen to these people.
fair enough.
But no, I enjoyed this whole ending, as ridiculous as it was.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get there. All the military stuff was kind of boring.
Hmm. Hmm.
Neither one of us took notes, as I said, and then we talk about Jesus and popcorn,
Yeah.
as you do, I guess.
Yeah. And then we also have a little last bit with Laszlo where he had been entering sweepstakes, but kind of gaming the system. Not sure
Yes.
how else to explain it. I did want to point out this was based on a real incident. In 1975, three computer programmers used an IBM to generate 1.2 million entries in a contest for McDonald's where they received 20% of the prizes.
Very nice.
And Laszlo ends up with 38% of the prizes for whatever he was entering.
That's
And
funny.
he runs off with Sherry in a camper, but they have a thing hitched to the back that's like carrying all his prizes with
The
them.
trailer with all this shit on it, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he wins a bunch of stuff. Sherry
Mm-hmm.
finds her number one brain. They're moving somewhere and presumably making smart babies. I don't know.
Sure. Supposedly, in some of the articles I read, they claim Laszlo always has McDonald's with him as a nod to this real life thing being a McDonald's contest.
That's pretty awesome, actually. I like that.
Yeah, I kind of hope that's real.
So the house explodes from too much popcorn. I don't know how much popcorn it takes to blow up a house,
Mm-hmm.
but they blow up the house via popcorn. And
Mm-hmm.
once it's the laser's off and the popcorn is everywhere, for some reason there's a bunch of children around and they come running and jumping in the popcorn and playing like it's a ball pit.
Yeah, which would make sense if he was in a neighborhood, but they've made it look like he's building this lone house in the middle of nothing this whole
Right.
time.
So there's that. Where these children
Hmm.
come from, I don't
Yeah.
know. And maybe it's the adult in me now. And the only thing I kept thinking of was kids. This house just exploded. There's splinters of wood and shards of glass. Get out of the popcorn. What is wrong with you
Yeah.
kids?
So, to get this popcorn filled house, the production team had to pop popcorn continuously for 3 months.
God damn.
It was treated with fire retardant so it wouldn't combust. And then they had to cover it with huge tarps so it wouldn't be eaten by birds and then possibly poison the birds because of the fire retardant.
Okay, yeah.
The popcorn was all shipped to a subdivision that was currently being built at the time the movie was being made in Canyon County, northwest of Los Angeles, and then, put into the house. So they had to find like a real under construction subdivision.
My God.
This also made it onto an episode of Mythbusters in 2009. The
Nice.
team tried to recreate this scene, figure out if it would really work. They used a 10-watt laser to pop a single kernel wrapped in aluminum foil, showing that popping corn with a laser would work. Then they tested in a scaled down model of a house. The popcorn was popped through induction heating because you didn't have like a crazy large laser like you do in the movie, right? The popcorn was not able to pop sufficiently. It wasn't able to pop enough that it would like break the glass of the model house.
Right.
Definitely did not pop enough to open a door or move the house off of its foundation. It just expanded a little bit and then charred.
Yeah, that all makes sense.
But also, like we said, this giant laser they build like isn't, that technology is not there.
Way to ruin the fun, Mythbusters. But
Yeah.
yeah, even with the laser, I think the popcorn would eventually just burn and catch on fire. I don't think it's going to destroy the house.
That's
But that's
fair,
not
yeah.
funny or dramatic.
Exactly, yeah.
Come on.
So I don't know if we fully explained, like, they're all doing this to get back at Jerry because they realized that Jerry was sort of tricking them all into developing a weapon for the military and using their free labor to do so. Martha Coolidge said that she still gets letters from people saying that they were involved in a program to develop weapons without realizing it. They also felt so betrayed and, they were in the same situation. She gave an interview in 2015 where she said she still hears from people in these situations. And she said, So it was a good guess and turned out to be quite accurate.
Probably obvious, but they're not just getting back at Jerry. They also want it's a backfire so he doesn't look good. If it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, they're not going to
Yeah.
use this technology because clearly it's not working. Therefore, they're not going to use their laser to kill people.
Yeah, and also get an extra dig in at Jerry by ruining his house. Yeah.
Yeah, with popcorn. He'll never like popcorn ever.
We already didn't, apparently, so.
Well, it's going to be amplified like a laser.
I know. It's going to be like a trauma response now.
Yeah, he's going to hear popcorn and just like break down and cry.
I will say, I was shocked at how violent it was, like watching the popcorn rip apart his house at the seams.
Yeah, I want to point out during this happy ending where the kids are it's slow mo too. It's like they're throwing it looks like they should be in like a splash pool the way the popcorn's floating around and they're laughing and smiling and the sun's shining. The closing song is
Mm-hmm.
Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which is I feel apropos for what's
Right.
going on in the movie. But if you've been paying attention this season where I kind of give a lowdown on what's going on in the week of this movie release, that song was like number one for most of this season.
Oh,
So
yeah.
most of 1985. And I know we talked about briefly the one video I watched that was kind of that bigger song used for the movie. They didn't have an official song like a Weird Science, a St. Elmo's Fire, etc. But yet they were able to get, even just for the end credits, one of the biggest songs of 1985 to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. So Real Genius had a budget of $8 million. It grossed $13 million. So obviously it made its money back, but it wasn't considered a huge hit. Even the cast in interviews I read said it was more of a sleeper hit and really took off on home video later. So the actor who played Jerry, William Atherton, he said, Martha Coolidge had the great style for that picture. That picture lasts because of her directorial style. She has great affinity for smart young people, an organic affinity, and that was really what made that picture go. And Martha Coolidge said, I included this quote from her because I feel like she does a good job of explaining some of the themes we've been talking about with these teen movies this season. It's the first time, the first time you have sex, the first time you fall in love, the first time you're lied to, the first time you're disillusioned. It's important to deal with that in pictures and not represent these soft, saccharine, idiot representations of life. The biggest crime of adults making youth pictures is they forget how important everything is. And they make everything way too casual. I don't think anything is casual between 16 and 25.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that a lot too. It made me think of both with The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire, like there's a lot of focus on which characters are virgins still, and we've had these comments where we're like, does this really matter? But it's like it does matter when you're that age for whatever
For
reason. Like
whatever reason.
everything seems so much more important. Like if you have a date to the prom or whatever, it feels so dire. So I liked that she was able to tap into that. And the character of Jordan, she's only in a few scenes, I guess, but she makes a big impression, right? She's the one who's always going a mile a minute, can't
Yeah.
sleep, always working on something. The co creator of Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Tad Stones, has confirmed that the character of Gadget Hackwrench in that show is based on Jordan from Real Genius.
I have not seen or thought of that in some time now. I
Oh,
might
yeah.
have to go back at least watch a clip somewhere just to kind of see that comparison.
Yeah, it's funny. Same thing. I had not thought about that show in a very long time, but I definitely remember that I watched it a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's funny. So in September 2014, there were reports surfacing that a potential TV series was in the works. NBC was set to produce the comedy series along with Sony TV, Happy Madison, and 3 Arts Entertainment. I'm a little surprised with the Happy Madison part. I don't know why. It just doesn't seem like
Yeah,
something their style. I mean, they do comedies all the time, but would Adam Sandler be Jerry? Like, was he throw himself in there? And I don't know.
right. In case anyone doesn't know, Happy Madison is Adam Sandler's production company.
So if you were hoping for this TV series, though, if you were really hoping for a genius TV show, as of December 2017, no updates on production. And that's all I could really find on that.
Yeah, sometimes there just isn't a sequel.
Which, you know what? Not everything needs to be sequeled.
I think one of the most surprising things from working on this podcast is how many things are still in discussion for sequels, like today.
Yeah.
And not even from this season, not even movies from 1985, just so many that, yeah, maybe they're enduring classics, maybe they're rewatchable, but it's not like anyone's clamoring for a sequel to like anything that we've discussed necessarily.
That already hasn't had a sequel?
That all, yeah.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
So does it hold up? I personally feel like it holds up better than Weird Science.
I personally agree with that. I feel, besides maybe the music in some scenes and the effects, the lasers look a little tried.
Yeah.
The story holds up, though. The movie holds up. I think it looks good. Okay, besides the effects, like I said. I mean, I can see them maybe not doing a sequel because I don't care about what happens to Jerry and these people after. Like, I think it ties together nicely.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it as a remake because said it in modern times, you just change the weapon that the kids are working on. Like you can make it.
Mm.
I mean, you still can make it a laser for all intents and purposes, but I don't know. You can make kids working on this AI program that turns into the Terminator. I don't know. Not saying it needs to be done, but it would make more sense at this point for a remake than a sequel.
Mm-hmm. I can
But
see that.
I enjoyed it. I had some laughs. I really like Chris Knight, but that's because Val does a really good job with his character.
So that all being said, which one of our twin movies did you like better?
Real genius. I think it
Same.
held up better in general. Honestly, like I don't want to put it all on one man's shoulders, but I think Chris being played by Val Kilmer is
Yeah.
really the glue that held it all together. His character is so charismatic, and it's a good balance between quirky and cool. I feel like, and I'm not a casting director, so maybe these other characters could or could not be replaced by another actor. I feel the same thing with Weird Science. I mean, maybe Anthony Michael Hall, but you could probably put two other kids. I mean, they did. They had a TV show. They had two other kids, and the show was fine. They switched Lisa. It was fine. It worked out. I think if you don't have Val Kilmer as Chris Knight, we wouldn't be talking about this movie.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I liked Real Genius better, partially for Val Kilmer's performance, partially because I just thought it was so much more fun than Weird Science. I will tell you that based on all the research I did, critics' opinions, and the opinion of the internet at large apparently is also Real Genius. Um,
Nice.
what about that third one? My Science Project? We'll never know if that
Never
one was
know.
better than both of these.
Clearly.
I don't think it is.
I will say that both movies I felt at some point ran a little long.
Hmm.
In Weird Science, we get that chaotic biker gang at the party, and then there's a whole after effects
Yeah.
of them getting with the girls that are actually age appropriate, and the house
Mm-hmm.
going back together, and then the poop monster or whatever the fuck that was. And then in Real Genius, just as we breezed over in our discussion just now, the whole military base thing was like, yeah, just get cut to the popcorn scene. That's all we care about. Roll credits.
Right, yeah. Now that you bring up the end of Weird Science again, I think I almost would pick Real Genius just because I really hated that whole like biker gang scene in Weird Science.
Yeah, or the
I
frozen
agree.
grandparents that never
That
met
was
my.
so creepy.
Yeah. And when things went back together at the end, we never saw what
We
happened to
don't,
the grandparents. I'm assuming
I
they're okay, but
know.
maybe they're still stuck in the pantry.
Yeah, who knows? Need a sequel that's what happened to his grandparents
They dead.
at this point.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on Weird Science, Real Genius, or your own favorite films from 1985. You can find us on Instagram at Back Through the Lens Pod and on Facebook at Back Through the Lens. You can also email us at backthroughthelenspodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to support our show.
If you enjoyed our show today, please give us a like and follow for updates on new and future episodes. Our show is produced by our hosts, Rachel Campbell, and myself, Joe Sielmick, with additional help and support from Peter Telep of LPV Productions. Peter, Rachel, and I are also the executive producers. Our awesome logo is brought to you by Tom Fracci, and our wonderful theme song is by Matt Tarek. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more trips into our movie-watching past on Back Through the Lens.
You're gonna laugh, you know why it wasn't coming up? Because I searched real science.
Real science. No, it's Weird Genius, Rachel. You're fucking up my title.
Shut up.